Yeah, I've never been. I mean, I still wear shorts. I
Yeah.
just have never worked out, but I always feel like my legs look pretty solid.
Even without working out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some people have like really bad chicken leg, but I don't feel like I'm one of those people. And we're live.
Oh, cool. Hey, you know, that reminds me. Someone just told me a story this weekend about their boyfriend. He won't do leg day because he's afraid he's going to get legs and a butt. And he doesn't want to.
Why would he avoid that?
I don't know, but she said that he's afraid, and she thinks it's kind of common that guys they prefer upper arms, like that's kind of their focus. But they're worried that if they do lower body, that their butts are going to get big, or that
They're going to look like kind of lopsided almost, or bottom heavy, something like that. Yeah, guys want to be kind of top heavy.
They want to be top heavy,
Yeah.
whereas bottom heavy is more of a female aesthetic, and top heavy is more male. So they're, she said it freaks him out.
That's interesting. I've never considered that. That is interesting.
Neither have I. And I said, I actively work out to get a butt.
Yeah.
That's the point a lot of the time for me. So,
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't really work out at all, but I think if I was going to work out, it would mostly be upper body.
yeah.
I would probably
There you
just
go.
want to get like chest
Big
and arms.
Yeah.
But because I do feel like I said, my legs, I think, look okay. But some guys, they go too far in the chest and arms, and it's like, dude, you had to fucking do something.
Well, and then what ends up happening is you get, I say that we coined this term, maybe we didn't, but Dorito bod. Have you ever heard that?
No. Oh, yeah, that's
A Dorito
perfect.
body. You've got big and then a little triangle down at the bottom.
That's so funny.
Dorito bod.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
But I think some guys just don't care what the bod, and they're like, whatever, no one's looking down there anyway.
Well, I also think that if I was going to work out, I would pretty much do a well-rounded workout. I don't want to get huge. Some dudes are always like, I want to get,
Yeah.
and that's never been appealing to
It's
me.
never been appealing to me either.
Yeah.
Like I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of Pilates and bar. And
My mom's a Pilates teacher.
oh, she is?
Yeah.
Cool. I bet she's got great core and all that good stuff.
She's like
Here in Austin?
62. Yeah, here in Austin.
Where at?
She does a bunch of different places like LA Fitness,
Okay.
and she works at the Samsung office, and she'll do Westlake. I forgot the name of the place over there, but she's like always bouncing
I
around
know
and
the
doing
place you're
places.
talking about.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah. She's been doing it a while.
Yeah, it's a great workout. I love it. And one of the things I like about those three particular workouts that I mentioned, the yoga, Pilates, bar, is that it's like core. It's good for your legs, great for your butt. It's good like to stay trim and slim, but you don't really like bulk, which is what I don't want.
Yeah.
It's interesting, kind of different. Your different perspective, like how different people want to look.
Yeah.
A different, like what their goals are for.
Would you say it makes you
like-
more flexible?
100%.
That's interesting. That's another one that I've never really felt the need to get is flexibility.
Yeah. It's one of the, I think for me, the flexibility kind of comes along with it. But one of my biggest things is balance. Like,
Really?
I mean, I don't worry I'm 36. I don't worry too much about it now. But as I start, as you age and start getting older, I'm thinking more about that.
About your balance?
About my balance because, we've heard this 1,000 times. Like, someone's grandparent was in perfect health, fell, broke their hip. It's like the beginning of the end sometimes. You know what I mean?
To worry about that at 36, though, is wild.
Well, I know, but I think for me, it's like I want to keep that core and I want to keep that going so that no, you're good. So that one day when I am, 75, 80, I've got this great balance. But which I'm happy that I have. The flexibility has kind of come along with it, but I can do things now with my body that like 2-3 years ago were like
Impossible.
Like
what?
Like standing up on one leg for quite a while, or like balancing myself up on one leg. I can do the crow pose, like where you put your hands on the floor and kind of lift your legs up.
Do you ever feel like you get a practical use out of it? You know what I mean? Like in your day to day, where you're like, oh yeah, that was sick because I've been training.
Not physically, mentally, yes, from the yoga. So what yoga has taught me, or what I've kind of gleaned from it, I guess, is the physical part is great. I love that my core is strong. I love that I can stand on my head. I love that I can do a crow. Like I can do interesting things with my body that I couldn't do before. It's great to like show off and be like, oh, look at this thing I can do, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I've gotten out of yoga most is breathing, like stopping in the middle of something and saying, this is really hard. It's difficult. I'm having a hard time doing this, but I'm just going to like
Just breathe it out.
breathe it out and kind of, or I've learned this thing I tell myself this in yoga and I say to myself, it's hard right now, but it won't always be, or like it won't be in about 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
Like it hurts now, but it won't in a couple of minutes. And I've taken like that mentality and put that onto my life, which is kind of interesting. Like I'm in pain or I'm upset or I'm hurt or I'm feeling this kind of way right now,
That's useful.
but I won't always. Like I'm feeling maybe depressed or anxious or I'm feeling something. That's a right now thing. And tomorrow I probably won't.
Yeah, that
In an
almost
hour,
is
I might
like
not.
meditation to like sit at a third person level of your emotions and be like, you're freaking out.
Yeah.
Just take a breath. That's going to pass. Analyze, move on, you know?
Yeah. It's helped me to certainly to regulate myself in situations. Like when I'm driving. I mean,
Do you get road rage?
I'm a bad road rager.
Are you really?
I'm a bad
Oh, shit.
road rager.
You don't give off that energy.
I know. And I think people have told me that before.
Why do you think that happened to you? What in your life has been like, damn, I am a road rager because XYZ?
It's pretty simple. I think that we as Americans, humans, as a society, are very lucky to have the ability to drive a car. I think that it's a gift and it's this huge responsibility. It's 3, 4, 5,000 pound vehicle that could very easily kill you and kill other people.
For sure.
And I think that so many people take that for granted. And texting and driving drives me up the wall. You will never catch me actively moving above 0 miles an hour and looking at my phone and texting.
So-
I won't do it. And
So you're not like cutting people off and being
No.
like, you deserve it.
No.
You're more like, look at this asshole.
it pisses me off that people drive around with this large hunk of metal and are just utterly
Irresponsible.
not paying attention, just texting, looking at something else. And I think you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt someone. Like you could ruin someone's day, week, life. I mean, you really have it's a lot of responsibility and people just don't
register that.
they don't register that. And it drives me up the wall. I have a really good friend. Well, she's my best friend actually.
Yeah.
And she's a big texter and driver. I mean, she's just not,
Oh, and
doesn't pay
you talk.
attention.
You're like, hey, cut that out.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
And it's that thing like, well, nothing's ever happened. I'm like, yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
And it just takes one time to kind of mess everything up. And
I have to say, I am kind of bad at it. There are times when I'm like, especially
so many people are. Yeah.
Yeah, like because when I'm on like a red light and it's taking forever, I'm like, let me just look at my phone, and then
for sure.
and then I
Red
look
lights, yeah.
at it. But then maybe if it's something interesting, then I'm like, oh, now we're going, and I kind of still want to keep looking at it.
Right.
So I have had moments where I'm like, shit, and
It's hard.
I have gotten to a wreck because of it. I did. I fendered someone in I-35 because I was looking at my phone, and I was like, damn.
So you're the guy. You're the guy I'm driving by and screaming at.
I'm the guy.
But I
wouldn't say I'm too bad though. I have some friends that I think are way worse, and I have to call them out. I'm like, dude, that's ridiculous what you're doing.
I mean, my friend I'm talking about is like not looking at the road, about to hit a curb, has her son in the back seat, and is just like,
that's wild. That's
crazy.
Just
yeah, just completely. So that drives me crazy, and I get really like people who are driving slow. Whatever. Like that's your prerogative. Like if you want to drive the speed limit, who am I to be like, you need a speed?
Yeah.
If people are going the speed limit, speed limit's 35, they're going 35. I can kind of back off and be okay with that. I do like to speed. I mean,
yeah. I think that's probably my biggest pet peeve on the road is seeing someone going too slow. I think that really pisses me off. Underspeed is just like, come on, dude, show some hustle. Like, I think the other day I got a little mad driving, and I usually don't ever get mad. But the one time I got mad is when there was a light, and it's like one of those turn lights that comes every 5 minutes, and it's a huge line.
Yeah.
And the guy in front of me, it's like yellow, and he can make it, and he's just going kind of slow. And I'm like, dude, show a little hustle. Like, we've all been waiting in this line. Like, let's go, man.
It goes back to responsibility, and it also goes back to people. I'm going to give you another example of this in a second that I experienced yesterday at the airport. But people truly do walk around this earth not giving it. Can I say bad words?
Cuss. Okay. Yeah.
People don't give a shit about other people around them. They just don't. And I think it's one of those things. Like, if you were in the front of a line at a green arrow, you better fucking move.
You got to move.
You have a responsibility to all those people behind you.
Yes.
To get your ass going.
Yes.
So we were at the airport yesterday coming home, and at the Austin airport.
You even got a shirt.
I do. Lake Tahoe. This kind of looks like a pair of boobs there.
It does a little.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Little sun peeking out
with an egg yolk in it.
Yeah. I'll show the back a little bit later. The back's pretty sick.
Oh, nice.
So, in the Austin airport, you come in, you're kind of upstairs in the terminal, and you come out and you take escalators down to the carousels, the baggage claim area.
Yep.
Everybody has to come. I mean, if you land, you come out that terminal, you have to come down.
Yeah.
So every time a flight lands or a plane lands, there's just a ton of people coming down these escalators. So it's 5 of us, me and my husband and 3 of our friends. We're coming down the escalator, and we're the second to next people. So there's an elderly woman and her, I'm assuming, granddaughter. Granddaughter's on the phone. They have bags. We're coming down. There's nobody in front of them. The elderly woman and her granddaughter step off the escalator. Stop. Just stop walking.
Oh, right there?
Right there. On the, there's that metal plate on the floor.
Yeah.
And people are starting to back up. And I said, hey, you need to move. I said, you do not stop at the base of an escalator. What are you thinking? And the young lady was on the phone, and she started getting really upset. She said, can't you see us standing here? People are standing here. I said, you need to move. I said, we almost knocked your grandmother over.
Yeah.
So then we kind of walked off, and I heard her on the phone, and she goes, I got to hang up. I'm about to go fucking yell at this guy. And I said, I wish you would. But it kind of goes back to that responsibility thing. Like, people so often are floating around this planet just
so was it
see beyond their nose.
Was it packed around the exit of the escalator?
No.
So they literally were just okay. That's stupid.
Got off of it and stopped and looked around.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I said, you got to move.
And how old was she?
The elderly woman?
No, the lady.
Oh gosh, 20s.
Okay,
she's young, and sometimes you kind of, she's like, can't you see we're standing here? I'm on the phone. And
yeah.
All these people were about to knock your grandmother over. Like, that would have been. Also, get off your phone and help your grandmother. You know what I mean? So, little things like that irk me. Like, get under my skin when people are just so aloof.
I don't get mad that often, but man, traffic could definitely get me mad.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I would get mad at that. I would be more like, what is this lady doing? I wouldn't be mad. I would just be more like, you should probably move.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. I mean, this is much to my husband's chagrin. I mean, he hates it. He's super introverted, and if it were up to him, he would not interact with people in public. Yeah. I have a really bad habit of being like, the fuck's wrong with you? Being calling people out on stuff.
Calling people out.
I probably should stop doing that.
Well, I mean, it's not wrong also, but I mean, it can be based on the wrong assumption. You can sometimes do that, and then they're like, well, we're here because of this, and then you're like, oh, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's like,
and then you make an ass of yourself.
Yeah,
and that's not happened to me yet, but it could.
I've always been right.
Yeah, I've always been right. But it's the same thing with the texting and driving, right? It's never been an issue before until it is. So I've tried to kind of reel that in. Especially with road rage, I kind of back to the yoga thing. I try to breathe through that stuff as best I can, and I don't know, try to give people and that's hard too. You try to give people grace and be like, well, you don't know what people are going through today. But I'm like, is that an excuse to be driving irresponsibly? There's just so much at risk there, And
I had a moment where I was thinking about this the other day. I was driving home from a bar. I wasn't even drinking. I wasn't drunk or anything, but I was emotional because of something that happened at the bar. And so I was driving fast, and I was like, I just want to get home. I want to get out of here. And I was driving kind of fast, and I did something kind of stupid on the road. I cut somebody off. And then the guy was yelling. And then I had that moment of like, this is the moment of why is this guy being a piece of shit on the road?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's because I had something happen to me that made me just drive erratically. It made me act stupid. But that guy's just going to be like, look at this idiot on the road. You know what I mean? He's not going to see that.
I do think about that sometimes when I say awful things to people. It's private, of course, because I'm in my car and they can't hear me.
Right.
But I say terrible things, awful thing. I won't even say them here just because it's so bad. I don't want to embarrass myself. But sometimes I say them in the split second after I say them. I think that's probably someone's sweet mother or like their grandmother that they love very much, or their like uncle that is like the nicest guy in the world.
Could also be an asshole.
To
be fair,
yeah.
I knew this guy I used to work with, most erratic driver I've ever seen in my life. He would speed everywhere. Like we would leave for lunch, and I never wanted to get in his car because he would be going like Burleson. We were on Burleson on the way here. He'd go like 70 on that road.
Man.
Just zinging past people, like speeding around, like looking at his phone, changing songs. And I'm like, this is nuts what you're doing.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy behavior.
It's crazy. And it's like, there's no excuse there. Like, that's just an insane person. So they're out there, you know?
Yeah. I'm definitely an aggressive driver, but safe. I mean, not never. I mean, I've hit stuff before, but...
Yeah. What's the worst accident you've been in?
Nothing bad.
Oh, really?
Just little fender benders.
Dang.
Nothing crazy. I've never had an airbag deploy.
Yeah.
I've never had to take a car into the shop. Just little dents, little dings.
Never had an airbag. Me neither. I've been in several accidents. I've caused...
Like as the driver or just...
I've caused 2 as a driver. I've been in like maybe 3 or 4 wrecks where I was just in the car. One time I got T-boned.
That's scary.
And I was in the back seat, and I didn't have my seatbelt on. So I'm in the back seat, like flying around in this SUV, and it's doing like full spins on the road. The worst one was when I was in the back seat of my my grandpa's car, and we were landing in Brazil, because we go to Brazil a lot because I'm Brazilian. And we had suitcases all around me, and I was very young. So I had suitcases here. And my mom's in the front seat, my grandpa's in the driver's seat. And we pull out of this little like shopping center, and an 18-wheeler just takes us out, smashes the car. The suitcases are crushing me like this because it's compressed the car. My grandpa's driving. He had no idea. He thought something was wrong with the car. He was like, something's clearly wrong.
What kind of car was it?
I don't even remember. I was so young. But I remember him like trying to keep driving. He's like, why are we not moving? But my mom is like freaking out, and she's like trying to lift her hand up in the air outside the window so that the semi-truck can see us. And eventually he does. Because the semi-truck also thought something was wrong with his car. He couldn't even see us because he was so high up. You know what I mean?
He's like, did my handbrake go off?
Yeah, he was like, I don't know what happened.
That's crazy.
That was one of the worst ones I've been in. I've never been in one where I've actually been hurt, though. I always walk out and I'm fine.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's terrifying. That's one of my bigger fears. And I think that's where that comes from. Like because I have that fear for myself, and I know that's traumatic to be in big accidents like that.
You know someone that died or something in an accident?
No, I mean, I do know a couple people who have been in some pretty intense
serious
accidents.
Ones.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
You just like your actions, like the things that you're doing, could lead to something really devastating.
Yeah, and you got to get in front of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So sometimes I just see people being just not paying attention, and that infuriates me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely a road rager, but I'm trying to work on it. I am.
In conclusion,
I am a road rager. I went to therapy about it. I went and talked to a therapist for a while about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it got pretty bad.
What did he say?
She said,
I assumed.
She told me, that's fine. She told me that that there's a reason for it. That there's, it's like there's some sort of anger. I'm angry about something.
Yeah.
And that is the easiest way for my body to get it out.
Because
it's low risk. I'm alone in the car. No one can see me. No one can hear me.
But when your husband's in the car, does he ever be like, "You're being crazy"?
I really tone it down when he's in the car.
Oh, really? So when you're alone, you're fucking going.
I'm on fire.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. I have to, Eric, I have a yoga, a Tibetan, a flute, chill playlist I have to put on in the car. And sometimes before I embark on my journey, I have to do breathing exercises and say, "Hey, Andrew, chill the fuck out. Oh, take a step."
So where does that hate come from?
I don't know.
You don't know what it is?
I don't know what it is.
Dang.
I mean, my dad was kind of a ragey guy, not in the car, but just in general, and took a lot of that out on us. And so I don't know if that's where that comes from, but she encouraged me to find the root of where that's coming from. And it's very easily, I can trace it to what's going on. When my stress and my anxiety levels are really high, that's when I rage the hardest. You should see me driving home after a yoga class, smiling.
You're just happy as hell?
Happy as can be. Someone could be in front of me going 20, and I'd say, you know what?
There's something to that, sweetie. Because you've been exhausted. You know what I mean? You've kind of expelled your demons.
Yeah, they're all out I left them on the yoga mat.
Yeah, so now you're just kind of like, whatever, dude.
Just chill, yeah.
Chill.
I also...
I think this might be something. I find that I'm more irritated when I'm very present about what's going on the road. Then I'm very, very irritated. But a lot of times when I'm driving, I'm thinking about something else.
Yeah.
And so whatever's happening in front of me, I'm like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'll get there.
Singing helps me.
Yeah, singing's
I'm a big
good.
singer. I sing in my car. I sing in the shower a lot.
Yeah,
I sing probably every day of my life. I'm singing.
Yeah.
Something, and that helps too in the car.
You do karaoke?
I've never done karaoke.
What?
Let me take that back. I've never done karaoke by myself. I've gone up on a stage with other people. Like as a group doing a song.
You teach public speaking courses.
And it's not a nerves thing either. I know. It's not. I don't know if it's a nerves thing or if it's I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I have a huge... You know what? I think the situation...
Is there an anxiety there?
There is an anxiety there. Yeah. I was in choir all through middle school and high school.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I was such a strong singer. I've always been a good ensemble singer.
You like singing with other people?
I love singing with other people in a group. Like that's always kind of been my thing. But just me alone with a mic and just my voice,
it's a bit much.
And
I get that. That makes sense.
And I think there's a setting in which it would be good. So have you ever heard of like karaoke rooms? I think Jackalope has them on East Riverside where like you and a group of friends just go into a little room and it's just you in there.
Oh, yeah. I've done those.
Together.
Yeah, I've done those.
That I think I could get behind because it's just people that I know.
Well, that's like the gateway drug to just karaoke.
It's just karaoke.
Yeah.
My husband loves karaoke.
Oh, yeah? Is he any good?
He's pretty good. Yeah. He's got a good voice.
You better?
I don't know. I think so. I mean, here's another problem I have. I don't sing... all the songs I know the words to and sing are all female artists. So I can't, when I'm singing in my
you
shower,
can't hit the notes?
I can, but it sounds like shit.
That is tough.
It's tough. I mean, unless I were to do like
Dang, I never thought of that. That is
Journey
tough.
or something, I probably could do a couple. But even Journey's
pretty up
high.
there.
I mean, Steve Perry's got a really, high-pitched voice. So
that is kind of tough.
Yeah.
I've never thought of that. That would be tough.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm singing grunge in my shower. That's what I'm doing. Like Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
That's my go-to.
Yeah. No, I'm singing like the Supremes.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going Motown all the way. Yeah, that's kind of my...
You like Billy Joel?
I don't.
Ah. He does a lot of like quartet, like...
I mean, I don't hate the guy, but just...
the music, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know
For the longest time, I would have pictured...
Yes.
That's the first song I thought of when you said singing with other people. Yeah, Uptown Girl. Yeah.
When I was in high school, I went to New York with choir.
Yeah.
I think I was a sophomore. So I was probably about 15, 16.
Yeah.
And we went for spring break, and we saw 3 Broadway shows. We saw Wicked. This was back in 04 or 05. We saw Wicked, which was amazing. We saw Hairspray.
Yeah.
which, by the way, was my gay awakening.
Banger.
It was in that moment.
Really? What about that?
Oh gosh, you know the story, right? Kind of the premise of
it's like
Hairspray,
Footloose, kind of
ish. So the idea is that
I saw the movie.
There's this young girl, a high school girl, Tracy, and she's heavy. She's overweight.
Oh yeah. I remember this.
It's
Okay.
the 60s in Baltimore, and she's all for like integration. She's like really part of the civil rights movement and pushing for all that. And they live in Baltimore, which back in the 60s, well, I mean, it maybe still is. I really don't know much about Baltimore, but very racist, very segregated, not really, which is kind of interesting up north. But
I was there recently. I would say it's probably not like that anymore, but there are some neighborhoods where you can kind of tell that it was like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of America back in the, So, she wants to be like, it's like American Bandstand kind of, and she wants to be on the show, but they're like, you're not thin enough. You're not this enough, whatever. So she, kind of comes out and makes a name for herself and gets really popular and kind of shows that you can be, and then they integrate. They used to have on like American Bandstand, they'd have like once a month, they'd have Negro Day, where like the black kids could dance and be on TV, but they couldn't mix, whatever. So she was really pushing for that. But the undertones of that movie or of that story, it's a John Waters movie from the 80s, which the 80s version starring Ricky Lake actually isn't a musical. It turned it into a musical like much later.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that. They think
why'd they do that? That's like turning Shawshank into a musical.
Almost exactly. Almost exactly, Eric. So the stories, it's got a lot of queer undertones. Like you can be
like what?
Like you're like
like just kind of be yourself.
Be yourself. Like the downtrodden, the people that living on the fringes, the people that are put into the marginalized groups,
right?
Like come out to the front and
just be yourself and take a piece of the cake.
Yes. So the musical, the theater musical that I saw in high school was, John Waters is super queer. I mean, everything he does is kind of has a an undertone to that. I mean, think of like Divine, that drag queen.
Was he gay?
I think he is.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Maybe he was and isn't anymore.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? I'm pretty sure he is. But
let me look it up.
The theater show, the musical, super queer. I mean, it's like everything's really colorful. I mean, if you've seen the movie with John Travolta, I mean, even that movie is
that's who was in it. Was John Travolta?
He played the mom.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
he played the mom. I have seen this movie.
Who was played by Divine in the original 80s version. Divine's the one that kind of has that voice like that. And played that role, and then John Travolta played it in, I don't know, 2000.
In 2009. I'm trying to find it here. I was trying to see if this guy was...
So the first movie came out in 88, and then the musical came out in... It says 07, but I saw...
Oh, he was from Baltimore.
Yeah. He's got great movies. There's this movie called Serial Mom that came out in the early 90s with... what's her name? Ricky Lake is in that movie too, but... What's that lady's name with the deep voice? She played Chandler Bing's dad. In Friends.
In Friends?
Kathleen Turner. It's a great movie too.
Yeah. Yeah, these are... We did Blacklist?
TV series, yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, very, very controversial, the movies that he's made, especially back in the 70s and 80s, were like filthy.
Oh, yeah?
Movies. Yeah. People loved him, or hated him and loved him, I guess. But
no, but that's what you got to do. You got to be hated and loved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Hairspray was like, I'll never forget the end. It's the end of the show. All the cast members are on stage. The song's called "You Can't Stop the Beat."
Okay,
is the song at the very end that they're singing, and it's all these musical theater people up on stage belting their hearts out. Everything, it's like rainbow explosion everywhere. There's glitter coming down from the ceilings. It's just like, And I very vividly remember being 15 and sitting in my seat, and my eyes were like this big, looking at this and being like, "This is gay. I'm gay. This is."
But that was the moment you really knew, like, oh,
something clicked.
I am 100% gay, because that resonates.
It resonates with me. It appeals to me. This is
interesting.
Something.
But before you knew, right? You kind of knew before.
I mean, honestly, from like all through elementary, middle school, I knew that something was different. I knew I wouldn't like other boys. I knew that for sure. I knew I liked being around the girls. I liked hanging out with the girls always. I was always kind of, even at home, I had my mom and two sisters. I have my dad and my brother, but my siblings are much older than I am. They all had kids, and whenever we'd visit, or like there was, say for example, like a wedding shower or a baby shower, the men, it was more traditional back. Like the men wouldn't go and
would do their own thing, and the girls do their own thing.
And they'd say, "Well, Andrew, where do you? You're 7, you're 8, you're 9. What do you want to do?" And I'd say, "Well, I want to be with the girls." Like I was always my thing. So there was always signs or like things, but I didn't know. Like I didn't have the vocabulary or the understanding.
Of just like even culture to know what that meant.
Yes.
Yes, that makes sense. But then when you see something like that in your culture, you're like, oh, dude, that's me. That makes sense. That does make a lot of sense.
And then, of course, you're going through, like, in the moment or in that time of your life, like you're going through puberty and things are going on and things are in your mind and who you're attracted to and who you want to, do things with. And a lot of that was like suppressed. Like I knew that it was in there, but I'm like, or I'd say to myself, that's not sustainable. That's not like
Did you get pressure from your family at all?
Not really.
They were cool with everything?
Yes and no. I mean, it was like this overhanging pressure. Like I grew up like Mexican Catholic. So there's always that's always in the room.
Right.
I'll never forget this. This is like one of those like core memories for me. When I was in maybe middle school, early high school, my brother had a friend in high school, Eddie, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. Rest in peace, Eddie Cruz. Great guy. And they were great friends in high school. Everyone loved this guy. He was amazing. Moved to New York after high school and came out. And I'll never forget my mom learning that my brother's friend had come out. And my mom was sitting on the couch and she looked down and she went, oh, his poor mother. Which I don't want to paint my mother. And my mom's amazing. I mean, she's like so supportive. She loves my husband. Right. Came to our wedding. Like she's the most supportive, but
there's that initial moment, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I do get it. That initial moment of like, oh man, like, cause it's just kind of a shock, I think is really what that is. Mm-hmm. That's not maybe the right way to express it.
Sure. So there were little things, like things that people would say or do. And it was just this pressure of like, which it doesn't really come from, I mean, it comes from family, from religion, from society, but like, and my siblings were so much older. They had all either gotten married or were about to get married, started having kids.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's what I have to do. Like I need to marry a woman and I need to have kids and be like, that's what everyone around me is doing. And that's what's expected of me.
That's what's expected.
And that's the path that I'm on. But then at the same time, in tandem, you have these feelings in your brain that are like, but
I kind of like this.
Yeah. My friend Dan is looking pretty good over there.
So so you found out at 15?
Yeah.
When were you like, I got to tell my parents? Did you ever have that like, hey guys?
No. So my coming out to my parents was weird. It was weird because it was, first of all, it was against my will. I didn't have a say in the matter.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah. It was interesting. So when I was 19, my parents split up. I graduated high school, moved out of the house. My parents stayed together for one more year after I moved out. And then they got a divorce that following summer. And when they split up, it was hard. So I'm the youngest of 4. Me and my siblings are unusually close. I think most other people from the outside looking into our relationship, people have kind of made like they think we're weird because the four of us are close. I mean, we talk almost every day on a group chat. Like we're very, very close with each other. And we travel and go to travel like have little once a year. We try to meet up all the family together.
Are they all in different places?
Yeah, my brother's down in the valley, close to the border.
Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, down in Mclaughlin. I have a sister in Corpus and another sister who's been in New Orleans for a while, but just is now moving to Houston this summer. In fact, we're going to spend 4th of July with them in Houston.
Oh, that'll be cool.
So when my parents got divorced, when they came to us and said, hey, we're splitting up, my dad was going to move out. That was tough for us. I mean, we were like, the hell's going on here? Like we'd only ever known our parents together and it was weird. My sister was like 35 when my parents got divorced.
Oh, you have an older sister.
Mm-hmm. She's going to be 53 this year.
So you're 36, so she's
17 years.
17. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it was tough.
Why'd they get divorced?
A lot of reasons. I mean, my dad had been cheating. He'd been in a relationship with this woman for a few years, and that had kind of been going on throughout their marriage. Like she had found out multiple times that he'd been in relationships with women, like years-long relationships with women.
Wow.
Before you ask, I actually hunted one of these women down. One
Really?
of his girlfriends from the 80s, and I called her. I found her through find people because my mom knew her name. And I traced this woman down and called her. This was like 2 or 3 years ago, and was like, does this name sound familiar? Gave her my dad's name, and she was like, oh my God, yes. I haven't thought of him in 30, 40 years. What's going on? And I said, well, I'm his son, and I want to know if you ever had kids with him. Like, I want to know if they were together for like years.
Yeah.
In the 80s, before I was born.
So it was like a double family thing?
Kind of. He never married, never had kids with anybody.
Yeah.
So I asked him, like, did you have kids with him? And she was like, no, my God. I would be honest with you if I did. And
okay.
So I'm like, if we have siblings out there, I want to know.
What'd she say about him?
About him?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy. That was a crazy day when I called her. I mean, obviously the front end of the conversation, she was kind of standoffish and was like,
yeah, I think I would be too.
I would be too. Totally got that. Like I was like, I get it. You're getting this call out of the blue,
out of nowhere,
from a stranger who's bringing up shit from 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you were having an affair with a married man, so like you're kind of bringing that up again to someone. Yeah. So we kind of started talking and getting into it. This was crazy. She goes, "What was your name again?" And I said, "Andrew." And she went, "Oh, you're the baby." So she knew us.
Oh, so she knew.
She knew.
Oh,
she knew who our names. She knew who we were. She knew about that she knew he was married and had a family.
Oh man.
And I asked her, we talked about it, and she said, you know what, Andrew, I've spent the last 40. She goes, I'm a very religious woman. She said, I've spent the last 40 years of my life asking God for forgiveness for what I did. She goes, it has killed me all these years that she goes, I was young. She was like in early mid-20s.
Yeah.
And she said, I was a kid. I didn't know any better. It was a different time in my life. She said, I felt horrible about it. She goes, I've spent years praying for forgiveness for what I did. She goes, it kills me that I did that to your mother, to your family. And I said, well, I said, I don't know if this means anything to you. I said, but you don't need my forgiveness. I said, you have nothing to be sorry for. Or and that something, it was very cathartic, I think, for both of us to have that conversation.
Yeah,
because you could it was like palpable. Like I could hear it over the phone, like a weight lifted off of her. And she sighed and was like, "Oh, Andrew, thank you so much for saying that."
That's incredible.
It was so long ago.
Yeah, talk about closure.
Closure, yeah.
God.
She said that, and I got to hear her story too. Like she said after we moved away, because this was when we lived in Corpus Christi, and we moved down to the valley in the early 90s. And she said, I knew that he'd moved with y'all away. I knew that. She goes, I never did see him again. But she said, I ended up getting married. She had a couple kids with her husband. Her husband died really tragically when the kids were little, and she never remarried. And
car accident?
I don't think so. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was I think it was work related. I think something happened, or maybe a heart attack. Got young. He was like in his 30s and had a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
But it was this huge relief off of her. And I was like, you really don't have anything. And she said to be sorry for it. Yeah, I said, I said, my dad made his decisions. You made your choices, and it was what it was. And I said, I just want to know if you ever had kids with him, because I want to know. And her response to that was really funny. I said, did you ever have kids with him? And she said, no, your dad wasn't that stupid. And so there's some context there. My dad is a cheapskate. And she was like, he would have never wanted to pay child support. He knew better. He knew better.
Funny.
So she said, I would guarantee you he doesn't have any other kids out there.
That's so interesting. How it's crazy to me how common that was. Where people would just be like, oh, I'm married with kids, but I'm going to just go out and have another relationship. It's so crazy that that's just such a common thing.
And for years like that.
Yeah.
Full-blown relationship.
But she knew that he was married.
She did.
She knew he had kids.
She knew our names. I mean, she knew everything about us. At the end, she asked about my mom. And I said, well, they're divorced. They've been divorced for about 10 years or maybe more at that point. But I said, they're divorced and she lives, this and that. She goes, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
She said, I've spent so many years thinking about your mother and hoping that she got away from him, or that her life turned out better than having to deal with that, that guy.
And it sounds like she knew like the whole time. Like she kind of knew.
I think so.
Yeah. So you were saying forced to come out.
So that was back, 80s, 90s, kind of as I was being born. That's when that all happened. But then we moved to the Valley, and I think it picked up again. He was seeing women and doing whatever he was doing. And so he was in this relationship with this woman for a few years. And a side note, I actually knew this woman through like theater stuff and had met her and her kids.
Oh.
So then after they got divorced, and he like because my dad ended up marrying this woman and then divorcing her. I've got some stories about this guy.
Dang, your dad
My dad's crazy.
Dad's a dude.
We'll get into this. He left my mom, moved in, not in with this second lady, but into her brother's old house, kind of in the neighborhood.
Wait. He left your mom, moved in with this new lady that you knew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was with her for 10 years. 9 years in, married her, and then 10 months later divorced her.
Oof.
Because he started having an affair with the lady next door. Her husband had just died. She was looking for someone to...
Dude, he's a little crazy, but it sounds like he's got game.
He's got game. He actually lives up here in Taylor.
Is he charming as hell or what?
He's very charismatic. He's funny. He's got a way. He's got a way with people. He knows how to And I honestly, I think I got that from him. I think that's one of his qualities that I've picked up.
That's interesting.
I think I use it for good more than he did.
Yeah.
He had just a different upbringing, but yeah. So
what a quality.
Yeah.
Because when you hear stories like that, you want to be like, "What a piece of shit," but it's like, "Dang, like that's not easy to do."
Easy to do. I mean,
it's really not
to keep up. I think it's maybe sociopathy.
Oh,
I'm not sure what it is, but
it's a little bit of that for sure.
To be able to keep up,
an
image that's not true for so long. I mean, me and my siblings talk about this all the time. When we were growing up, people that he worked with would like come to our house for a barbecue, or we'd meet them, and they'd say, "Your father, everyone loves your father. He's the nicest man. He's so generous. He's such a kind man." And the four of us would look at each other and be like, well, fuck you for getting this great version of him, because we don't get any of that. Like we're not seeing any of the generosity. We're not seeing any of this. Like we just got all of his worst at home.
That reminds me of my mom, kind of. My mom, she didn't do any like cheating or anything like that. But my mom, she was such a hard mom, because my mom's Brazilian, so she was very like, if I can eat, she would always be like with the sandals, and and it was like, it was very like really like tough. You need to clean your room. You got to do this. You got to get a good job. You got to be doing this. And it was very, very tough. But whenever people would meet her, they'd be like, she's so funny and lively and nice. Yeah. And we're all like, yeah, that's what she wants you to think.
Right. Yeah, it's like chameleon. They know how to like shift that around. And I'm very much that way. I can kind of shift my communication style, the way that I am around who I'm around.
I think a lot of people are like that, though.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people kind of have someone that they present and then someone that they are. I think that is what most people do.
Yeah.
But
to keep it up like that.
To keep it up,
crazy.
Especially the stark contrast between your two personalities is wild.
It's a skill.
It is.
So, I'm sitting there. I'm 19 years old. It's 4th of July. Me and my siblings are all together, and we get a phone call. It's from my dad saying, I'm moving out. I'm leaving. It's over. 38 years of marriage. Done. That freaked us out, and it was hard. I mean, we all had different reactions. It was tough. So my dad said, I'm driving down or up, whatever, to Corpus to see you all. I want to meet with the 4 of you. So he comes and we're sitting in my sister's living room and, he tells us everything. He's like, I'm leaving your mother. I'm with this woman, whatever. We said, okay. My sibling said, well, we've got something to tell you. And I'm like, where's this going? And they're like, it's about Andrew. And my dad said, what? Is he selling drugs? And my sister said, no, he's gay. And my dad said, well, I already kind of knew because his wife or his girlfriend, her daughter was my age. And we were friends on Facebook. And my Facebook said that I was gay.
Oh.
Or that I was interested in men. Back on Facebook, you could say.
Yeah, you could say man or woman. Yeah, that's right.
So he had already known from that. So,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then a couple days later,
social media.
Yeah, a couple days later, we drove down to meet my mom, and the same thing happened. My siblings were like, "Well, we want to." So
it sounds like your sister kind of threw you under the bus.
My siblings kind of outed me. It wasn't necessarily my
choice.
I was also, there's like power dynamic there. I was 18,
to go
19.
15 to 19, when you knew to then, there's signs, right?
Oh,
There's got to be
For
like,
sure.
all right, we kind of get it. You
I
know?
was in choir. I loved theater. I loved musical theater. All my friends were girls.
Yeah.
Like, what did you...
It's like...
It's really not that shocking.
He's like, what?
I know. My dad wasn't surprised. My mom's, I think she pretended to be surprised. I think there was some...
I could see someone doing that.
Yeah, there was some level of like...
Because it's supposed to be like a big moment, but it's like...
Yeah.
I know.
So, let me tell you, I've gone to, a lot of therapy and I've talked all that through. And I think I've gone through like phases with that. Like my siblings had no right to do that. And why would, I've looked at it as my parents gave us this terrible news and it hurt us. And that was almost my siblings' way of saying, well,
yeah, that's kind of what I got.
Sticking it back to you.
That's kind of what I got.
One of your sons is gay. And at the time, I don't think of it that way anymore.
Yeah.
I don't. And I don't think, no. I know that my siblings were not being malicious or ugly or...
For sure.
It
wasn't about you. It was about him.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a reaction to something.
Yeah.
And I've processed all that and it is what it is. My goal was to just never say anything to them because I didn't find it to be any of their business.
Yeah, and it does kind of suck to be like used like a pawn like that.
Yes, it does.
But at the same time, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't really matter.
It didn't matter, and I'm happy that it happened and it all ended up working out. But yeah, I've roller coastered on that, how I felt about that. But ultimately, I've landed on, but they weren't being.
You're still doing what you're doing, and that's it.
I'm still doing what I'm doing,
and they're doing what they're doing.
I love my siblings more than shit.
Just anything.
Yeah,
I don't have I would say me and I have a sister. We don't have a great relationship. It's good. I think it's good. I would say it's great, but we're not like talking every day.
Yeah,
maybe like every other week we have a phone call or something.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I love that relationship because they're the only people, they are the only people to me, and we are to each other the only people who know everything about each other. And our upbringing and our experience, and we just, nobody else, and like our spouses, all 4 of us are married.
Yeah.
Our spouses know us and get us, but they don't understand that experience as children growing up in that house.
I think it makes more sense You said there's 4 of you? Mm-hmm. I think that is a big reason why 4 people is such a cohesive number. Like me and his sister, it's like, okay, there's 2 of us. Mm-hmm. It's hard to like you said, have a group chat or have a conversation with 2 people. It's not as sticky. I feel like once you have 4, it's really good. And then 5, it starts to fall off again. I have this theory about conversations in general, where like a conversation with 2 people it can be tough because there's a lot of lulls.
Yep.
So that's why like a date can be awkward.
Yep.
Because it's like, all right, what do we talk about now? You know what I mean? 3 people is pretty good because with 3 people, you have someone to fill in the lulls. And then 4, it gets better still. But then with 5, someone gets left out. So I have like a feeling that 4 is like a peak number of conversation and friend building.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I think I'm youngest of 4. My husband's youngest of 4. We're at the edge of, end of this year, beginning of next year, trying to get into the adoption process and starting our own family and having kids.
Oh, nice.
And of course, the last year or 2, we've talked about it ad nauseum. I mean, we just like almost every day. We're like,
you just gonna get a baby?
We're gonna be, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, brand new.
Just a brand new 2025 baby.
That's right. But we talk about how many we want, and we go back and forth.
How many?
And we're like, we want 4.
Really?
I mean, we're both youngest of 4. We know, we love that experience, and we just that's what we know, and we want that for our kids. And
did you get them all at once?
No, over time. But
that's kind of cool to be able to choose.
Yeah. When?
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is.
Have you guys thought about like getting a surrogate and doing it with your own genes?
We have.
Yeah.
We've thought about that before. It's exponentially more expensive.
Ooh, how much is it?
It's a lot. It's like a lot. I mean, even adopting through an agency, which is what we're doing, is like 35 to 50.
Fuck. Adopting a kid?
Yeah. If you want to go,
I thought it was like the pound. I thought it was like we have babies and nobody wants them,
So yes, it can be. You can do that. Like, it's a couple $1,000. You just pay lawyers' fees and kind of go through that way.
Yeah.
But it's all about kind of how you want to get there. And the reason we're doing it through an agency, okay, so you can adopt, like through the state, you can adopt a child for pretty cheap, just like lawyers' fees.
Yeah.
But you don't know. There's a lot of unknown there, and a lot of like through an agency, you're paying this agency to build a profile out for you and match you with an expecting mother. So the mother that they pair you up with, or that really the mother finds you. She is pregnant, decides she wants to give the child up for adoption, finds this agency, goes through all the profiles, and say she sees me and my husband's and says, that's them. These are the guys I want to raise my child. You meet this person, you build a relationship with this person, you are there with them through that process. You're at the hospital when the baby's born. Do
you want that?
I do want that. And I'll tell you why. The reason that I want that is because it can still be closed. I mean, you can still, after you have the baby, the mother doesn't necessarily still have to have a relationship or be in contact with that child. I mean, you can close it off and then it be done.
Would you want to close it off?
I think that would probably be, I think like semi-closed would be best, where like if she wanted us to send pictures or updates, or like at least have her name and contact info. So if one day our kid is 12 and is like, I want to meet my birth mother, I'd be like, oh, well, let's give her a call and see if she'd be willing,
I've always thought this was so interesting that people want to meet their birth mother. I don't think I would actually care at all.
I don't know. I don't know if I would, but then again, with the whole sibling thing, I'm like, if I have siblings out there, I want to know. And I don't know why. I really haven't been able to pin down why I would want to know that. But
I think, yeah,
there's something there. Like,
and maybe there's something there with the mother too. Like maybe you could see a glimpse of like, oh, you're kind of like me in a weird way,
or it's maybe even closure for some people. Like not closure, but it understanding kind of ties a bow up on this feeling of like, well,
who am I?
Yeah, did this person not want like that abandoned kind of that like, well, this person didn't want me, and when it really that's not the case. It's just a matter of situation
what
and
their life
and context.
situation
Yeah. So the reason I like the idea of knowing the mother, having a relationship with her, is that when it is all said and done, and there's like a handoff essentially after the child is born, being born is traumatic anyway for a child. Like
Right.
that whole process is traumatic, but I don't want to add layers of trauma to that. Like the idea of this child being taken from their mother, not taken, but removed, given to someone else.
Yeah.
At least in this situation, it's all, we've built this relationship, we've built this rapport. She feels good about it. The father feels good about it. The family feels good about it.
Everybody's
feel good
on
about
the
it.
same page.
Everyone's on the same page. And
But-
it's this like gentle handover, and it's like less traumatic, I would hope.
Is that more expensive?
Definitely. Definitely.
So
You're paying for that.
So the one that's least expensive is, here's a baby that someone just didn't want, and we have it and we need to give it to someone. That's like the absolute least expensive. But what's the downside with that? You just don't have paperwork on the parents.
You don't know anything about them.
So it could have like a problem.
Could be, well, and like even through an agency, if the child was, and my husband and I have talked about this too, like if the child had learning disability or Down syndrome, like we would still take the child. That's not anything that would be an issue for us. But the other way, it's much cheaper, but you just don't know what the situation is. Like, is the mother on drugs? Has the mother been drinking throughout the pregnancy? Like, there's a lot of unknown there.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if as first-time parents we're
Ready for that.
I think maybe as we
That makes
go
sense.
along, we might have a little bit more, we may foster, we may do things that are a little bit more, I don't want to say risky, but like there's more area or more room for things to be a little shaky.
Yeah.
Like with a kid who's, being weaned off of, born addicted or born, having to be weaned off drugs or alcohol or,
yeah,
there's
that
just
makes
a lot
sense.
more unknown. And kind of an agency and paying, that's what you're paying for is control. I mean, you're controlling the situation. You're controlling, what kind of how it goes. And then you take it the next step, which is your own biological children. But then you think about, it's just a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Like you've got me and my husband, right?
Yeah.
One of us we've got to have doctors, lawyers. We've got to go through that whole process, right? Like to, give our sperm and to do all that. Then we have to have a egg donor, and that egg donor has to have a lawyer and go through all that. Then you have a surrogate, the person who actually carries, because the person who carries typically isn't the egg donor. They're just a home for the baby for 9 months. That person's got to have lawyers and doctors, and you're kind of paying for all of this, there's no guarantee either. I mean, it could not work, and then you got to pay again, and you got to pay again, and it's just,
And it's like Gattaca.
yeah, it's just mounting and mounting and mounting, and
It's a lot of parties involved.
a lot of parties,
A lot of
involved.
money involved.
A lot of money, a lot of people, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And that to me feels less.
And a lot go wrong too.
It just feels so. I really tiptoe around this because I don't ever. It's all preference. It's never nothing I'm saying is coming from a place of like judgment, like people who do that. Like you do what feels best for you and what feels best for your family. My husband and I, neither one of us have any desire to have biological children. I don't. That's never been important to me. That this child is a certain percentage of me or looks like me, or that's never been, a thing. And that's also not guaranteed. I mean, my dad is 5'4" and like super dark complected. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't look anything like my dad.
Right.
You never would even guess that we're related. So that, anything could happen in terms of genetics, but it's just preference. I want a baby. I want a newborn, fresh.
Yeah.
That's
Fresh.
Right
Off the lot.
Right out of the lot, brand new, 0 miles. Because I want that connection. I want that skin to skin from newborn. I want that child to know nothing except for me and my husband.
Yeah.
And our love and our,
That would be important for me as well, I think.
Yeah.
Because then there's like adopting like a 6-year-old or something, which I don't know if you've ever looked into that.
We have, or I have at least, yeah, and dabbled a little bit in that. And we're also not opposed to that. I mean, there are a ton of kids out there that need, love and a home and security and safety, and we're not opposed to that at all. I think maybe further down the line, and there's heartache in all of it. That's risky, and we've read testimonials and stories from couples who have gone through the agency process, and spend all this money, and you get you're paired up with a mother, and she chooses you, and everything's good. Gets all the way to that 9th month, she has the baby, and in the last minute, the father and the father's family swoop in and say, "No, we're gonna raise." Or the mother has the baby and says, "I'm choosing to parent. Like, I had the baby, I've seen it, and I'm choosing to keep the baby," which
that'd be devastating.
It's for us, yes.
Yeah.
But there's also that part of you that's like, that's probably bad.
There's a part of you that's like, I get it.
Yeah, and you can't be mad at someone for looking at this beautiful child that they just birthed and
seeing their face,
yes,
and their face,
yes,
and being like, dang.
And we're prepared for that heartache, and that it's hard any way you slice it. I mean, even being a heterosexual couple having a baby, it's hard. Like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot of none of that process is
What's
easy.
crazy is the heterosexual, the amount of people that have been doing IVF treatment and fertilization treatment.
Yeah.
Like, how hard it is for a lot of people these days to do that.
Yeah.
Like, even I think one of my cousins had that problem where they had to do all these treatments and money, and it's like, man, what happened to the old days where people were just, spitting out like 8 of these things and it wasn't a problem?
I know. I wonder what that is. Do you think it's...
People are saying it's our food.
I was going to say, is it diet? Is it lifestyle? Is it...
I don't know. I mean, there's definitely a massive problem with that right now, where people are seeing and experiencing that a lot. But then, at the same time, in the old days, like in the 1300s, you'd hear a lot about guys being like, "Oh, the girl is barren," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of that happening too.
Yeah, it's always.
So maybe it was always going on.
Yeah, maybe so.
But,
I mean, maybe are we just like people smoking too much weed? Maybe our sperm count's low. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Nah, it ain't the sperm. It's the girls.
Yeah. Couldn't be us.
No, couldn't be us. What's crazy is I've been seeing a lot of people talk about birth control for men.
Oh man, that's a lot of leg. Sorry.
You want to use the blanket? You can use the blanket.
Oh no,
I had a guy here the same thing. He was like, "Man, that's a lot of leg," and then he put the blanket over him. He was like, "I can't."
You know what? There we go.
Yeah, if you can use a little bit of blanket.
I don't mind showing the leg. I'm worried that your viewers are going to be.
You're good, bro. You're good. It's all good.
I don't know.
No, you're fine. It's yeah, you can put it on, whatever you want. I got a pair of pants. You can put, no, I'm joking.
Pair of sweats.
But yeah, there's been definitely an issue with that too.
Yeah.
On the hetero side. But I think, and I've been talking with a lot of people about this in general, people just aren't also just having that many babies. People are just not having kids.
It's
the fact that you want to have 4 is like,
yo,
you're repopulating the earth over here.
Yeah. I mean, kind of. I mean, those kids are already. Yeah. I think everyone we say that to says we're crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest. I mean, my husband and I talk about this all the time too. I'm like, we could have 1, we could have 2, and be like, fuck that.
Yeah.
We're done.
You could have 1 and just be like, this
is it. This is it. This is all we can handle. This is a lot.
Yeah. You go on a lot of trips and stuff?
We do. We travel a lot.
Ooh, yeah. That's going out the window.
No, it's not. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I have a friend. We have these really good friends. They're neighbors of ours. They're like retirement age, 60, 65. Really, really great couple that we met when we moved into the neighborhood. And we've gotten pretty close with them, hang out with them quite a bit. And I made that comment one time. I said, Will and I travel a lot, and once we have kids, that's all going to come to an end. That's kind of my thinking on it. And she said, She goes, Andrew, I don't ever want to hear you say that again. She goes, she has 3 kids. She goes, we went all over the place. She goes, we traveled everywhere. She goes, they're light, they're compact, they travel they'll go wherever you go. She goes, you just have to have the courage to do it. She goes, you take your kids anywhere. Take them anywhere you want.
My parents took me and my sister around a lot. We took a lot of trips with my parents. We would go to Brazil every year for family.
Yeah.
We went to Europe a couple times.
It's not going to be easy. That's for sure.
Yeah, and there were definitely some fighting moments where it's like, But I mean, I think before 12, it was pretty easy because we just kind of go, I guess we just follow them around,
Yeah.
But then once you get like 15, 16, you start turning into like, what? I want to do this. Like you start having opinions.
An opinion about where you're going.
Yeah.
Well, we also like doing we like road tripping. We love to camp. We like going hiking. I mean, that's big for us. Mm-hmm. And I think we want to get our kids, our kids that we don't have yet, but we want to get them like accustomed to that and acclimate them to sleeping in a tent and being in the car for 10 hours at a time, and being out in the heat and taking a shower out in a in a trough, or kind of getting them used to that when they're little. But I think we're gonna push that. I probably think our like international trips will probably pump the brakes on those for a little while, at least when they're really little. But I mean, why not? I think I think if we have the desire, if we've got the the know-how, the want, the drive to do that stuff,
it's easy to execute.
Yeah, just grab them, load them up, and take them with you. And I say all of this as a person who doesn't have kids. So I take everything I've said.
But dude, your confidence is already enough.
I think so.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
I think for me, I would be like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Like I have no confidence in that, but I am so far from having kids. It's nuts.
I think it's going to be good. I mean, you pack them up. They're small. They're light. Mm-hmm. And they got to go with you. I mean, what are they going to do? Say no? Who's running the show here?
Yeah. I'm dad.
Yeah. I'm the one making the decision here. So I think we'll keep it up. I think it'll slow down.
Yeah.
Especially with like little. Like the first 4 to 6 months, like we ain't going camping.
I went to a wedding in Mexico 2 weeks ago, and a lady that's here in Austin that just had a baby, she brought the baby to Mexico.
Yeah.
She was out there hanging out, had a drink, and she just had the baby on her. And I was like, all right.
They'll go anywhere. Yeah. We went to, I think I told you that, we went to Patagonia in January. Did I tell you that?
I think you might have mentioned it. Yeah.
We went with a couple of our friends.
Like in Chile?
Yeah. We were in Chile. Wow. It was great. We did the W Trek. It's like 50 miles over 4 days.
You see where that plane crashed?
No. What plane?
The movie Alive? Oh, man. You never heard of that movie? Dang.
If my husband was here, I bet he would know.
High school soccer team crash landed in the mountains of Patagonia, and they all start eating each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think we actually talked about that
on the trip. I was going to say, like, you can't go to Patagonia and not talk about it.
Yeah. On our first hike day, so it was 4 or 5 days of hiking. I think 4. The first day was pretty tough. It was all up. I mean, you're going up to this mountain, but the payout was great. It's
what mountain?
It's Torres del Paine. Those kind of like towers. Torres. Torres del del. Yeah, there you go. And then just put the towers. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's those there. Like kind of famous. Yeah, right there. That second one.
Oh my!
So we hiked up, and that's really high up. So you have to hike like and we actually those rocks.
You could get up there?
No. Kind of where you see where those people are down there by the lake.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of where you end up right there.
Dude, what in the Lord of the Rings?
That's the end. That's like the end spot. Like you hike up for miles to get to that bottom of that lake.
Oh, but you can't get any higher than that.
No. And then that's just like the vista that's what you're looking at there. But we were walking, anyways, all that to say, we're walking up and there's 4 of us and we're like, young guys, pretty fit, putting everything into it, tired, legs hurt, knees hurt. And this lady walks by us, which means she's been hiking the whole hike we've been hiking. There's no way she took a shortcut.
Yeah.
She's going the whole way with a 12 to 18-month-old kid on her back, strapped in, and passed us. And I thought, if this lady can hike up this mountain with this little kid, you can do anything.
That's badass.
It was, I mean, I wanted to stop her and be like, yo, congratulations. Yeah. I can't believe you're doing this. And she looked,
killing it.
Visually looked
fine,
happy as a clam.
That's amazing.
I mean, we must have been, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles up that mountain, and she was just,
that is
kid on her back.
Incredible.
Kid looked happy.
Yeah. Dude,
you know,
I mean,
it's all attitude, perspective, I guess.
It's all attitude and perspective. I just, for some reason, I have no interest in having kids or having a family. Like, absolutely zero. Yeah. But then I'll talk to people like you or people who are like, I would love to have a family, I would love to have kids. And I'm like, that just has never been something in my head where I'm like, that would be fun to do. That to me, that's never clicked.
Yeah.
But it sounds like that's something that you thought of for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted kids. I mean, I love kids. I grew up with, because my siblings are so much older, I became an uncle when I was 8. So my niece, who lives here in Austin, she's 28. And I've got 9 nieces and nephews from 28 to 14. So I grew up with little kids. I mean, my nephews are right now like 25, 22, 21, 20. Like, so these, all these little kids I grew up with.
Maybe that's why. Maybe it's just exposure.
I thought they were great, and I loved caring for them. I loved, babysitting and taking care of them and playing with them, and it was just always
maybe
fun.
That's what it is. Maybe it's as simple as that. I always
exposure, yeah.
I always do. Like kids seem to like me. I'm always the kids are always like, this guy's awesome. Yeah. I always do well. But I'm never like, man, I want to spend my day with this kid. It's always like, what's up, dude? And he's like, It's like,
there's also this is new for me.
Yeah.
I will say that this has come up, but my husband and I, we've been married for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And when we go on these trips, when we're hiking, when we're looking at these beautiful things, these mountains and this landscape, we share in that with each other. Like that, it's an experience that the two of us share, and that we take with, we leave and take that with us, and we reminisce about, and we look back on, and it's this, like we're each other's family at this point. We're not family of origin. He's my family. This is this family that we have. And what's come up recently for us in the last year or two is going on these big trips, having these experiences, and turning to each other and saying, how exciting is it going to be for us to have other people in this family to share all this with? It's not that there's anything wrong with it just being the two of us, but
that's amazing.
And that thinking of it that way is new. That's new for us. But to say like, hey, it's not just two of us.
That's a good way of thinking about it.
It's 4 of us or 5 of us or 6 of us, and we all collectively have these experiences together.
Man, that was so wholesome. Holy hell. That was so wholesome.
You should meet my husband. He's
my God.
He's the personification of wholesome.
That was the most wholesome thing I've ever heard in my life. To get on top of a mountain and be like, what if we could share this with other family members? It's like,
and that's
I get to the top of a mountain, I'm like, nice. That's what goes
cool. Let's go back down. and you know what? I think I've been like that too, or I've been like that in the past, or I've thought that way. And there's just something changes. I mean, I'm with, obviously my husband and I have been together for a while, and we both have this desire to have this family, because we grew up in that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you think about both of us being the youngest of 4. And, both of our parents through all of our childhood, his parents were together. His mother passed away when he was maybe 20. And then my parents got divorced when I was 19. But all we knew growing up was there's 6 of us. Like we were a family unit of 6. And that's what we knew and what we grew up with.
Yeah. And it's like growing up with a little gang. Like this is our squad.
Yeah. And of course, it was different. I mean, by the time I was in the 4th grade, I was home alone. My siblings had all grown up and left the house. So my experience was a little bit different. But then they all started having kids. And then that family got bigger.
But they were also around a lot.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah,
we would visit,
Yeah, my childhood wasn't like that. It was like my sister and I were very...
Is she older or younger?
She's older.
Okay.
So
How much older?
3 years. Okay. So she was kind of doing her own thing, and I would just do my own thing. And, I mean, growing up, we didn't really have a lot of family in the United States. Yeah. All my family was in Brazil. Mm-hmm. So I guess it might be like a learned thing. Because like I always grew up with just, it's you and you alone. And you need to go out there and figure out your own stuff. Because it was kind of just me. Mm-hmm. I had a sister, but we didn't really like talk to each other in a way that mattered when we were growing up. We do a lot more now. Because now I feel like that age gap compresses as you get older.
For sure. I mean, look at my sister. She's 52.
Mm-hmm.
And her and we're thicker than...
thieves.
Black strap molasses on a stack of Johnny cakes as high as an elephant's knee.
There we go. There we go.
But
at first you weren't.
It was harder when we were younger.
Yeah.
We were living different lives. I mean, I was in elementary school and she was married and having kids. So our lives were very,
very different.
But
that's the thing, you can't really relate to people.
It's hard, yeah.
But as you get older, you kind of sync up, and it's like, oh, we're actually kind of experiencing the same stuff.
Yeah. We're experiencing it at different times, but my siblings, my oldest sister, they're empty nesters. I mean, their kids are all out of the house. 2 of them have graduated college. 1 of them's about to. My other sister's kids are both adults. They live with them still, going to school and working, but they're both adults.
Does that depress you to think that one day your kids would move out?
No. Yes and no. I mean, I can see. I mean, I've
you
already,
don't even have kids yet,
Eric. I've already gone through this. I've already imagined myself sending them off to kindergarten and like falling into a puddle of tears and like dropping them off at college.
First love.
Yeah.
First heartbreak.
Driving them to college and and being like, that whole like being strong. I mean, like you're gonna do great. You're gonna do it. You're gonna be awesome. You were not that far away. You were a phone call away, and then getting in the car and being like, like just freaking out. But this is also very interesting. My husband and I talk. This is how you know you're ready, right? When like that's all.
When you have these conversations,
it's all of our conversations kind of surround.
Because otherwise, it would just be like kids now, and then just move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but I grew up in a very collectivistic culture, like Mexican American, growing up on the border, where it's like the kid, you stay here.
Yeah.
You got grandma and grandpa. I mean, this wasn't my experience, but a lot of people's experience. Like grandma and grandpa live in the house, mom and dad, the kids. Kids are adults.
That's how it is in Brazil too.
Yes,
but I think I have been very against that culture because I am American mostly,
which is very individualistic.
Yes,
right?
and my mom is still kind of like, but I'm like, no. So there's a lot of that. Yeah.
A lot of like differing opinions on that. So my husband and I have said, like, when you're 18 and you graduate high school, the hope is that you want to move away. Like I want you to want to go experience a new city, a new state, a new country even. Like go out and do what you want to do and don't feel like you have to stay. But we kind of want to meet them in the middle and say, but if you want to stay, you're welcome to stay. Like we're not pushing you out of the nest.
Yeah,
we're encouraging you to do what you want.
It reminds me of Rumspringa from like the Amish. Mm-hmm. It's like that. And then what happens is they usually always come back. Yeah. Because they know that family connection means more than anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But that experience, to have that, a taste of that independence and like nobody telling you what time you have to be home or, experiencing new friends in a different setting, working and experiencing just life in a different way is what we would encourage them to do and hope that they would feel confident enough to step out and leave and go, do what they want. But at the same time, if we had a child that was like, I don't think I necessarily want to go to college right now. I just kind of want to stick around and work.
Yeah.
Great. you've got a place to live.
Yeah, that's good, man. The fact that you guys, like you said, the conversations, and that's how you know. It's like, yeah, that is exactly right.
Something happened when we were in. So we just got back from Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
This last weekend, and we were in the bathroom. So it was like a 3-2 house. We were with 3 other friends, and we had the primary suite. And we were in the bathroom, and I said, this house is great. It's a good size. It's, about 20 minutes from South Lake Tahoe, so it's a little bit out, but nice and quiet. I said, I love this house. This house would be perfect for like just the 2 of us. And I don't know, something like all of our conversations now, we've really moved away from that, like just the 2 of us. Like we're really gotten into that mindset of here very soon we are going to be 3 and 4 and 5, And I made that, and I don't know why. It was just like, it just kind of.
It's a conscious decision.
Yeah. And I just said, this house would be perfect for the 2 of us.
Yeah, yeah.
And he immediately said, and kids, like, and kids could live. We could have. This is good for maybe 1 or 2 kids too. And I thought that was really interesting that he made that we talk about it.
He pulled
so
it back
much.
to
yes,
yeah.
And I was so happy. I mean, it made me smile. I mean, it really did make me happy. But
because you were like, oh yeah, that's right, we are on that
we're on that path. And I think for a second, I think because we were on vacation and we were with friends, and it just kind of.
No, but you had a moment of like, this would be great for us, and he goes, well, that, and then you were like, oh, you're right.
Right. And it just kind of slipped out like, oh, this would be perfect for
this would be perfect for us for like maybe 6 months until we have to go back and do what we were actually going to do.
A part of me was like, there's no, and this is a big step to think about things in this way, but like, it's not, and from moving forward, my life, well, that's not true. I mean, I guess maybe once we retire and kids are out of the house, but at least for the time being, there is no just the 2. Like nothing in our life over the next 20 years is going to be just the 2 of us.
Right.
And I just thought that was so interesting.
Right.
That I said that and that he stepped in and then I had that thought.
And then you clicked back.
I clicked back and was like, no, you're right. What a silly thing to even say.
I think it is a vacation situation.
I think you're right.
Because you're on vacation, you're like, we're having such a great time. Wouldn't it be awesome if we just stayed here forever and had this little house?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, but we also have this whole plan. And you were like, oh yeah, you're right.
You're right. Yeah. I forgot myself for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting how our conversations and the things that we talk about, how they've shifted.
How they shifted to for this new path.
So this is very interesting. Some of our best friends, they live down the street from us, about 10 houses down. And we found out about a month ago that she's pregnant. She's due in September. So soon. About a week later, we found out another one of our good friends. We're all kind of friends, like a friend group. One of the other friends is pregnant. Her and her husband are pregnant also. And they're due in maybe November, December time. And so the night that they live just down the street, so we walk over to their house a lot, hang out. And they broke the news to us, and we were really excited. I got teary, screamed. I was, really, really happy. And we left their house, and we were walking down the street back home. And I turned to Will, and I said, this really accelerates our timeline here, because I want us and our friends
to have a
kids
baby
to all
at
grow
the
up
same
together
time.
And like be in school together and grow up and like play out in the creek behind our house together and like
wow.
and this is something that I never thought I'd say or I never thought I would experience. But we were walking home and like there was again that shift, like something clicked, and I said, I turned to him and I said, our lives are changing. Like we are in amazing. Our lives are changing. We are going to be different. In a year, we will be different people, and we will have a completely different life.
But you're
excited.
You're excited for it.
Yes,
yeah.
Thrilled. I mean, like beside ourselves, over the moon.
That's
and our
so
friends' lives are going to
fascinating.
change, and it's just everything's different in a good way.
That's so interesting how. Yeah, it's so interesting, especially for me. Again, I'm so far away from having kids. Like, I'm a single dude.
Yeah.
But hearing that, it kind of does remind me of other moments in my life where I'm like, I'm going to take a leap here.
Yep. Things will never be the same.
And it'll never be the same. But dang,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
We're at the threshold of something.
Of something wild.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But yeah, I have some other friends that are doing this. Like my cousins, again, same thing. They all got pregnant at the same time, and they kind of timed it because they were like, we want our kids to all hang out and do that. But again, it's never been. I have never had that feeling so far where I'm like, I want to have my kids experience a timeline with other. That's never. I've never felt synced like that.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. It came up quick.
Yeah.
And I think
How'd you meet your husband?
we met at work. We worked together
In real estate?
in banking.
Oh, is that what you did before? Here in town?
Mm-hmm. We worked downtown. I met him. He was already there. He worked there already for almost a year when I met him. And I had just moved to Austin that summer. I moved here summer of 17, May of 17. It's about 8 years ago. And I started working at the bank in June or July, sometime that summer. And I had just gotten my master's degree. So I thought I was, you couldn't touch me. I thought I was the shit. I thought I was like, I got this advanced degree. I can get any job I want. I thought I was
Master's in what?
communication studies.
Okay.
So I thought I was hot shit.
Yeah.
And I get this job, and it's communications is so broad. I mean, I apply it. You can apply it to any job. Like real estate, you better believe I use that degree every day.
For sure.
But I was a private banker. So I worked for this small group that was a private banker for high net worth clients of the bank.
Okay.
So I basically was like, when you say jump, I say how high.
Yeah.
For these people. Like, I'll go to your house to pick up cash. I'll deliver you cash. I'll take documents for you to sign. I'll, pick up your dry cleaning. Like, not that far, but close to that.
I'm curious about whenever I hear private bankers, I'm always like, isn't this something that people could just do on a website?
Yes. So,
but is it about the experience?
it's about the experience. Maybe you wouldn't be surprised, but people with a lot of money love having people do stuff for them. They love having a person that they don't.
Is that my phone?
Is that your phone?
Here, let me just turn it off.
Hollywood is calling. They saw your stand-up special and said,
I don't know about all that.
they love it. There's we called it concierge service. We called it white glove banking. So there's a lot of words that we put around it that made people feel just special.
Yeah.
And when rich people are made to feel special, they bring you more money. They bring you more accounts, and they get more loans, and they.
The first time I heard about this, I was like, "What? Like, this is everything I do online with my bank. Why are you? Why have a guy?"
Yeah.
But I guess people like that.
it.
Like my bank guy.
Well, and also
I have a guy.
And also cash. You can't do that online. You want someone to bring you $10,000 cash to your office? You got to know a guy who's going to do that for you. You and your wife are going to Argentina for the summer, and you need some Argentine pesos. Guess who's gonna pull cash out of your account and take them straight to your front door and drop them off with your
That would be
housekeeper?
kind of nice. But that makes this guy sound like Pablo Escobar at this point.
For sure.
It's
And
like, dang, this guy's crazy. He needs.
So it was fun. It was fun. I mean, I got to meet a ton of really interesting people.
Any of them become clients now?
No, not quite. I
Sounds like a good in.
I know. I actually have a list of all those people. So I don't know if I told you this, but I'm done teaching. I quit teaching this semester.
The public speaking?
Yeah. So I'm full-time real estate as of today.
Nice. You quit
I quit.
like
Yeah.
today?
Yeah, well, Thursday was my last day, and
Nice.
today I turned my computer in, so I'm done to focus on real estate full time. But God, I had a brain fart. I lost where I was going with that.
Concierge, banking.
Banking. Okay, this summer I really need to go back into my Rolodex. and contact some of these people again, because I built really amazing relationships with a lot of really
those people, they just buy real estate like it's cotton candy. They're just like, yeah, we saw a cool house, we might just buy that.
Yeah.
You know.
So I do need to go back and kind of get in touch with some of those people. But yeah, built a lot of great relationships. I worked there for about 4 years. He was he started off as a, God, what were those guys called? It was all a bunch of it was like a post-grad frat club essentially at the bank. It was, what were they called? Not underwriters, but credit analysts. And he started off as a credit analyst and then moved up to be a loan officer. But when I started at the bank, they didn't have an office for me. They didn't have anywhere to put me. It was very political. There was office spaces, but people were like, no, these are just for these people. These are just for the, So they put me out. We worked downtown in a 5th in Colorado. Great building, up on the 10th floor, amazing views. They put me at a receptionist desk up front. And I just got my master's degree, and I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, that would suck.
I just spent $40,000 on, and I'm trying to, and I'm up here at a receptionist desk. Guys would walk by, like loan officers would walk by and throw stacks of paper on my desk. I'm like, can you staple these for me? I'm like, dude,
that would suck.
It drove me crazy. But despite all that and how upset I was about that, the receptionist desk sat catty corner to my husband's office. And, people were always going into his office and talking to him.
Is he older?
He's 2.5 years younger than I am. And I thought, I liked him. I didn't know he was gay. My husband's very, people don't think he's gay. He's very straight. Passing. People really don't. We're very opposite in that regard. People meet me and they're like, come on. They meet him and they're like, this is, they see his ring and they're like, where's your wife?
Interesting.
So I didn't know he was gay. I didn't think he was gay. I was certain he was straight.
Oh, how'd you learn he was gay?
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So, but I thought he was the cutest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I was just so attracted to him. And I was like, this guy, I want to know more about him. And so I worked there for about 6 months, and we had a Christmas party. And he brought his best friend, who ended up being the bridesmaid at our wedding, and really great friend of his, one of his best friends from college, Oksana. He brought her to this Christmas party.
Yeah.
And Oksana she's Russian. She's one of the most beautiful women you would ever meet in your life. She's gorgeous.
Oksana, Russian, huh?
Yeah.
Dang.
Gorgeous. Beautiful.
Krasivia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supermodel.
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous one.
Dang, is she single?
No, not anymore. I know. He brought her to this Christmas party and introduced her as his best friend. And I said, you're gay. I said, no straight guy's best friends with a woman like that. It just doesn't happen. And I said, this guy's gay. That was December of 2017. By February of 2018, we were fully dating.
Nice.
By December of 2018,
what was your first move?
Okay. So I had moved to the east side in January.
December to February, right? That was the timeline? Okay.
So December is when I learned. I was like, I didn't know for sure, but I knew for sure.
Yeah.
So in January, I moved to East Riverside, and I knew that he lived over there. He lived off East Oltorf. Mm-hmm. So I was less than a mile away from him. So that was my in. So I messaged him, or I sent him a text or something, and I said, hey, I know you live over here. I just moved over here. What do I do? Like, where do I shop? Where do I eat? What do I do? Like, what's some of the
okay, so you asked him.
Yes. Yeah. What might a young a guy like yourself do on East Riverside.
Yeah. Nice.
And he gave me some tips, some pointers, and we started texting, light texting, just back and forth. Well, one night I lived in a freaking tweaker pad off at East Riverside. Like,
it's the only place to live on East Riverside, man.
Lord, it was like a 300 square foot.
It's getting better over there.
It is, yes,
but it's still pretty tweakerish.
Yes, back in early 2018, it was. Yeah, I lived in a 350 square foot trash pad for $765 a month, which is like unheard of these days. But
yeah,
so we were kind of texting back and forth, and I was in my apartment one night, and I got kind of brave, and I texted him. I said, "Hey, I'm making dinner for myself. I've got a lot. I've got a bottle of wine. If you want to come by, I'd love to share that with you." And he texted me and he said, "I'll be there in an hour." I found out later he was on a date.
Oh, really?
He cut the date off.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. So he cut the date off.
Cut the date off and said, "I'm on my way, baby."
Dang, so he had his eye on you in the office.
Yes. Dang. Yeah. And I said, "Why don't you come over?" So he came over and we drank a bottle of wine and we sat on my bed. And I think we spent, after that night, I think the next 3 to 4 months, we spent every single night together in my apartment, sitting there talking, drinking wine.
He was ready, dude.
Yeah.
He was ready too. That's so funny. Who was that guy on the date? That poor bastard. Holy shit.
Who knows? Fuck that guy.
Yo, hey. History's
loser.
for the victors, man.
Yeah, I'm like, whoever, whatever. But that was February of 2018. And I moved in with him in August of that year.
Wow. Damn, you guys hit it off.
Yep. And by the end of that year, by December, we were engaged.
Wow.
I'd asked him to marry me, and we were...
A whole year later, basically.
Almost.
Dang, you guys clicked.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? With him...
Was it weird in the office? Like a relationship?
Oh, yeah. That was really tough for him because he grew up evangelical Christian. So, and I promise I'm going somewhere with this, but he grew up in that environment, very, very wholesome, very strict, gay's not an option. I mean, a lot of, I don't know if
he still talk to his family?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got a great relate. I mean, his siblings are awesome. He's got 3 siblings, older, 2 sisters and a brother. Same as me, 2 sisters and a brother.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They're all Christian. They're very religious people. They're very devout.
Yeah.
But it's like that millennial Christian where they're like super liberal and open-minded.
They're more chill about it all.
Yeah.
But the parents, I mean,
his dad and grandparents, aunts and uncles has been tough. It's been hard.
Yeah.
I say for both of us, mostly for him, but we've come a long way.
Okay.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, that's got to be really tough.
Mm-hmm. But being in the office was hard because he'd only been out for 2, 3, maybe 4 years, 3 years at that point, and was still kind of. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you know this, but there's a lot of with queer people, especially growing up in religion in Texas, in all that. There's a lot of shame associated with that.
Yeah.
And that's something to get over. You really have to kind of overcome that.
They kind of guilt trip you. Yeah.
So for him in the beginning, people at work didn't even know he was gay. So that was difficult for him.
But then when did they know that you guys were dating?
So in August of...
Oh, that's a while.
Yeah. We dated for 6 months. We kept it a secret from everybody, even our closest friends at work. We didn't tell anybody. I mean, there were signs. People kind of people were like starting to kind of raise an eyebrow, like close friends of ours were like, Andrew and Will are like text, like, so this is really funny. We have a great friend, Roxy, who still works at the bank actually. I worked some days. I'd work over there at where she worked at the branch that she worked at on like certain days of the week. And we were having a happy hour after work one day, and I left my phone on my desk, and I walked away, and my husband Will called me And she was sitting there and she looked at my desk and saw him calling me. And she thought,
that's strange.
why are they calling each other?
Yeah,
like they're friends, like they know, like we're acquaintances, like we work together.
Yeah.
But she's like, why is he? And then I came back and I didn't know she had seen my phone ring. I came back and I picked it up and saw he'd called, and I pressed to call him back, and I walked away and went private into another room. And she didn't say anything in the moment, but obviously,
that was
we're still
a giveaway.
Yeah, and we've talked about that since then.
But did other people know he was gay?
Mm-mm. People were pretty shocked.
But she saw that as like the initial moment of like, what?
I think she did. I think she knew he was. But so that was very interesting. But so in
that's
August,
always interesting is a guy that's gay that shows absolutely no outward signs. That's always like
very interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I was reading. I wasn't reading. I was watching the comedy special. Mateo Lane.
Oh yeah. I love Mateo Lane.
He talks a little bit of jokes about the gay voice and how some guys do it and some guys don't.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I wonder what that is, because there's nothing, like there is no lesbian voice. They don't do that.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah.
So
gay voice is it's very interesting. It's been studied, I think, because it goes back. I mean,
yeah. And people relate it to like birds, like they change their voice to do different vocal situations. But I mean, some guys do and some guys don't. So it is interesting. It's like, I wonder what that is. But yeah,
like the hard S.
Yeah.
Like
yes, yeah. But I think it's a bit of like it's like showing it. It's like, hey, this is who I am.
And it's interesting because women don't talk like that. So it's very unique to gay men.
It is unique. You kind of carved your own niche. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But
so that August, it was August of 2018, my cousin got married. Her and I are very close. We grew up together about a year apart. And I took him with me. And that was the first time I introduced him to he met some of my sister. He met my sisters. He met my grandma, aunts, uncles, cousins, people he'd never met before.
Yeah.
And I had just moved in with him. I think I'd moved in a couple weeks before. So when we got back from that trip, I said, look, we live together and you just traveled with me to a family event and met my family. So I'm pretty sure this relationship's viable at this point. I think we need to say something at work. And he said, I agree. So the both of us went to our bosses, respective bosses, and said, hey, we want you to know that Will and I are in a relationship. We've been in a relationship. We live together. And it's a thing.
Yeah.
And so
what did HR say?
So both of our bosses went to HR and told them, HR is up in Dallas, our headquarters up in Dallas for that particular bank. And this is very interesting. He didn't get a phone call, but I got a phone call. HR called me and said, we want to make sure that you are both in this relationship willingly. That it's not like that one of you isn't, I don't know, like blackmailing or trying to like forcing the other. They wanted to make sure that it was consensual and that we were both, which is crazy.
Thing, dude. What the hell, dude?
And we said, yes, we are. It's whatever. And they hung up with us. And then a few days later, HR called us back and they said, we want to congratulate you
on
your relationship. And we are happy for you. We think that's great. Unfortunately, they had to move me to another branch. Which made sense. And they said the reason that we're doing that is because you both have access to very sensitive information. He's a loan officer. I'm a private banker. Our jobs, neither one of us are supervise or report to the other, but there's client cross that could have happened.
There's intersection that can happen.
And they said, you've got Social Security numbers, bank account numbers, and it's tricky when the two of you are working in the same building and then going home and living together, and you've got access to information. And they said, we just feel it's best that you work at different branches.
Okay.
And I said, that's fine. And so they moved me out to Westlake.
Dang, you had to move?
I had to move.
That sounds like the longer drive, too.
No, it was. And then we got married we got married right before the pandemic. Like, we went on our honeymoon, came home from our honeymoon, and went into lockdown.
Well, it could have been worse.
It could have been worse.
Where'd the honeymoon? Where was that at?
We split our time between London and Amsterdam.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
Nice.
I don't know. Looking back, I wish we had picked somewhere warm.
Yeah.
I wish we'd gone to a beach.
It's a neighbor's doing something crazy.
Or an island.
Yeah.
Something Caribbean, something warm.
That's what I would do for a honeymoon. I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to somewhere warm.
I wish we had.
Was it like winter?
It was February. So Amsterdam was like bitter and rainy and freezing and windy and
yeah.
It was great. And we had a great time. It was a great honeymoon. We had,
I'm sure it was still fun. Yeah.
Oh, it was fun. But yeah, looking back, I'm like, God, I wish we'd gone to a beach. But that's just it was less that it was for our honeymoon and more that it was just like this thing we really wanted to do and a trip we were kind of already planning. But yeah, we've gone. This was the first year since we've been married that we didn't go to Big Bend for our anniversary. But we like to go every year for our anniversary. We drive over there.
Yeah, Big Bend is nice.
It's amazing.
I went to Marfa with my sister and her boyfriend, and that was...
What did you think of Marfa?
I thought it was a bunch of rich Californians trying to sell art for $6,000.
Thank you.
That wasn't worth...
Speak on it.
Shit.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to go ahead and jump in there with you. It was terrible. It was so stupid.
Dude, what?
We went and looked. It's very contrived.
Yeah.
Very contrived. Very art for the sake of saying it's art. Like
I know.
It
it's
just
like,
doesn't
look
seem...
at us. We're in the desert and there's art here. I remember we went in this one shop. I was laughing out loud. Like I was like, the artist was in there and she's like, an older woman with like ball glasses. And she's like, oh, I'm an artist. I've been out here for years. And it's like, dude, this is garbage. I could do this in my fucking house and you're trying to sell this. I thought it said $20 on there. Mm-hmm. It said 2,000.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a joke.
Do you know when art pisses me off? Art starts to make me mad when I look at art and I think, I could go home and do this.
Yeah, dude.
There's just no effort or like... it was weird. Also, I don't know if you got this vibe either.
Self-aggrandizing.
Yes.
It was a lot. There was one place I was like, dude, this is such bullshit. They had this guy with art all over the walls, and they had little panels of like, he grew up in this area. And I was like, dude, you fucking type that and then put that on the wall. Yep. You're the only one here.
Yep.
You're working the register. Like, don't act like you're on Time magazine. You know?
We went to this one gallery and they were like, you have to go. It's this walk. You do this walk around this huge lot of land and you go and you look at whatever. And we're like, oh, you have to do it. You have to do it. We're like, okay, let's go. So we go and I'll never forget this. We're standing out there looking at all this stuff. And my husband turns to me and he goes, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. And I said, it is. He goes, I can't believe people come out here for this. And I said, I same. Also, the people that worked there, like in restaurants and in like the like service workers, were assholes. Like we got the feeling that we weren't welcome there.
Yeah.
Like super rude, super unfriendly.
That's where they belong, in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, keep them away.
Yeah, just isolated.
We went to Marfa for 3 days and we spent most of our time in our Airbnb watching movies.
Yeah.
We let it, like after our first day, we were like, fuck this. We're just it's a sunk cost. Like we already spent the money on that.
For me, it was just it was interesting the first day because I was like, look at all these idiots. Like it was just kind of funny to be like, look at these morons that think they're worth some tough shit. And they're not. And we were there for
and they're not.
Yeah, they're not, dude. And we were there for a concert. Like this guy that my sister loves is an artist. I forgot his name. Damn, I forgot his name. But he's a Brazilian artist, and he did a show in L.A., New York, and then they added a third show in Marfa. So that can be a good thing about Marfa is that they're so artsy that sometimes they get like a good Texas show for people that are just doing the big cities. And
That's good.
yeah, he killed, and it was like a nice little venue, and it was really nice, and it was cool. I enjoyed it. But man, the rest of the town, I was just like, this is such
Yes, yeah. It was, everything was like crazy expensive and not, nothing was great quality. It just wasn't. It was not it.
But I will say, maybe not objectively, like when you're not in a shop and you're just walking around, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy like walking around in the town. I enjoyed that you leave town and it's just literally a desert and there's just like some mountains in the distance. I enjoyed the vista and the view of what it looked like.
Yep.
But the moment you walk into a shop, I'm like, I hate you. I hate you.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had that same experience.
Yeah.
We went to, honestly, the most fun we had was one day we went to the laundromat to do laundry and met a couple of locals and went to someone was selling barbecue plates in a neighborhood. So we walked with them or met them and did that. So kind of like hanging out with local people away from kind of the art stuff. And we're like, this was pleasant. It's probably the most enjoyable part of that entire trip.
I think that, that would be nice. That would be nice. But Marfa itself, it's really just LA people. I think is really what it is.
And I didn't like LA either.
Yeah.
We went a couple years ago and I thought, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Everyone was so, I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for this and I don't care, but
Do it.
I think LA is hyped up in our minds because of TV and movies. And I think
It's on the downswing.
it's got to be.
Yeah,
we
it's
drove,
completely out.
through like Brentwood, Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, and we're driving around these parts of LA, and I'm like, it's just like any old city. You can find this shit in Austin. You can find this shit in any city in America. I mean, it's just not.
LA has one thing, and it's the weather.
Yeah, that's really it.
That's what they have.
That's what they've got going for them.
They probably have arguably the best weather on the planet. Like they might have
year
it.
round.
That is true. But everything else, no. I think, the people are all snooty and they're like, I'm from LA, I do this.
It just wasn't special.
Yeah.
It wasn't special. And then you go to somewhere like, we just went to New York in March, and I hadn't been in 20 years. I went a few times when I was in high school, and New York is just like special.
New York has character.
Something about it.
Yeah.
You go to London, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're in London. Like these cities are.
They have history. They have character.
Yes. And then you go
LA
to
is just
and you're like,
it's a bunch of people that moved there hoping to make it big, and none of them did. That's But again, the weather is great, and sadly, I think Austin is slowly turning into a bit of an LA.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
I was hoping it would be more of like a New York where the character speaks for itself.
Yeah.
But there is still some of that Austin charm lingering. But man, every day it turns more and more into LA, and it's like, ugh.
That's what I love about South Austin.
Yeah,
That's one of it feels unique and it feels it's charming. It has that keep Austin weird vibe is still there.
Yeah, I
There's
talked to
something about it.
a lot of comics, and a lot of them are like, "Man, I hate this town." And I'm like, "Have you been 5 miles in any direction out of downtown?" And they're like, "Well, not really." And it's like, that's your problem.
That's the problem.
Because you need to experience, like, I hate North Austin, to be honest, but South Austin there's so many places, there's so much green space, there's so much open area, so many cool, authentic places that have been around forever that really still have that Austin charm. And I would even say the same with Westlake and out there. Like there's still some pretty nice places that have been around a while. But North is just a concrete jungle. I hate North.
Yeah, North Austin, I had a couple of three lease clients that were looking up at like 183 metric Burnett area, kind of up in there. And so the last couple months I've been driving around up in that area a lot, which I'm usually not up there ever. And driving around, I just kept getting that feeling of like, I could be in Dallas right now. I could be in, maybe not Houston. Houston's a little unique and because of their zoning stuff, but
I like Houston.
I do. Houston's great.
I think we talked about this.
I think we did.
Houston, I like. Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas doesn't do it for me.
Dallas doesn't really do it for me.
It's too sprawling suburb. It's too it's not exciting enough.
Very suburby.
Yeah.
Very Midwest kind of vibe. It's like Midwest barely hit Texas.
But also snooty.
But also very snooty and very rich.
And
yeah.
And Houston is, I remember now, we did talk about this. It drives me crazy. People shit on Houston. And I always ask people, I said, do you go there a lot?
Yeah.
Or are you shitting on it because you drove through and the traffic, the highways are big and it's a big city. I'm like, if you go into the inner circle of Houston and spend any amount of time in there,
it's cool.
It's a cool city.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's super diverse.
Yeah.
People are not, you get like that Southern Texas charm. People are friendly. It's, wildly diverse.
What's funny is I used to be the guy that would shit on Houston. But I had never been there. And then I spent a weekend there, and I was like, that was actually pretty cool. And what's awesome about Houston is that when you go there, they kind of own the shitty piece of it. Mm-hmm. They're like, yeah, we're stinky, smelly, humid, oil-covered, disgusting. But it's fucking Houston.
It's Houston, baby.
And they just love it that they are what they are. And it's just like they're the swamp people and they're just happy in their swamp.
There's a lot of pride.
Yeah.
People are very proud. I mean, look at, you think about like Beyonce is huge. Houston, Texas, baby.
Mm-hmm.
They love it,
Yeah.
I think Megan Thee Stallion's from Houston too. They just love that. I think Lizzo might even be from Houston.
But Dallas, I don't know. Dallas doesn't have that charm.
No.
They don't have that charisma. Houston has charisma.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're gross and we're but that's us, dude. That's who we are.
No, I love Houston. As the older I've gotten and the more times I've gone, and I'm right there with you. I think I used to shit on Houston too. Mm-hmm. And then I spent some significant amount of time there and thought, it's better than...
You know what I hate more than all of them? San Antonio.
Why is that?
I think it is...
Their skyline sucks.
Their skyline sucks? I think it looks kind of gross. Like when you're driving in, you're like, damn, dude. Maybe like, power wash?
Something. It looks very 80s.
Yeah, it looks 80s, 70s maybe. Yeah, 70s.
Yeah.
And then there's really not a lot to do. Like you're like, okay, Alamo, Riverwalk.
I'm going to say something controversial.
Yeah.
Brave. The Riverwalk sucks.
Yeah. Fuck your Riverwalk.
It sucks.
Yes, dude.
It's just not. The restaurants are. There's a lot of potential there. I think about that with Corpus too. I'm born in Corpus Christi, so I have a space in my heart for Corpus Christi. But very similar to San Antonio, where the potential is there. Corpus could be. It's on the bay. It's beautiful on the water. Corpus has potential to be one of the coolest, funnest vacation spots in the state.
Completely agree. But there's no money there yet.
And all the people that live there, a bunch of old timers, don't want change.
They don't want it.
Nobody wants anything to change there. They want everything to stay exactly as it was.
But that's why it's kind of cool. I went there with some friends last summer. Awesome time.
Yeah.
Fantastic trip.
Yeah.
Because it's not ritzy. It's just like you come here, it's kind of a shitty beach and it's kind of a shitty town, and that's Corpus. And it's like, I love that they don't care.
Yeah.
What I hate is going to a place where, they have these big fancy places and these big fancy restaurants, and then you eat them and it's like, was it actually good?
Yeah.
No. And it had no character, but it was just Instagrammable. You know what I mean? That's what I hate, is when a place loses its character and it just becomes Instagrammable.
That happened to us in L.A. We went, oh my gosh, that made me... you just unlocked like a memory that I dug down.
Yeah.
I tamped down deep because I didn't want to think about it. But we were in L.A. and we were on Hollywood Boulevard, kind of like in a, or West Hollywood maybe. And we passed by this restaurant, Italian restaurant, and it was gorgeous inside. Very Instagrammable. The walls, the floors. It was like exquisite inside. Probably one of the nicest restaurants I've ever been in.
The food sucked. Yeah.
The pasta came out. It was like grocery store pasta with some Chef Boyardee sauce on it.
Disgusting.
For like $40 or $50.
Should be hanged. No trial.
No trial.
Just straight to execution.
Straight to the it was awful.
I think it's disgusting that places do that. And and I think honestly the best places I've ever eaten in my life look kind of shitty. The best places I've ever been to. I've never been to a place where I walked in and I was like, this place is beautiful and the food was 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That never happened. My favorite place in town, 888. When you pull up, doesn't
Shopping
look
center.
Yeah, it's like this place looks kind of shitty, but
unassuming.
It's so fucking good.
So good.
It's
Best
so
pad
good.
thai you're ever going to get. Mm-hmm. We were in New York in March, and with those neighbors I was telling you about, they were up there, and we went out one night and had dinner with them. I love Indian food. I don't know what your opinion is on Indian food.
I love it.
Love Indian food. It's probably one of my favorite Indian or like Thai or Filipino food. So like all-time favorite foods. And we went to this Indian restaurant in Chelsea, very unassuming, plastic flowers hanging from the ceiling, stunk, floors were dirty. It was just like crap all over the walls. There was 2 people in there, one old crusty guy who I think was also cooking the food. Like he was our waiter, but then would leave and go cook it.
Yeah.
There was like 2 tables in there. It was the best Indian food I've ever eaten in my life.
I love hearing that stuff.
It shifted my so there's this restaurant, I won't name it because I don't want to shit on anybody, but there's a restaurant in Indian restaurant in South Austin that I love. We go, once a month at least.
Targa. No, I'm joking.
No. Yeah. And I love it. It's so good. So I went to this place in New York and I said, I'm going to order the same things I order in Austin. Like, I get vegetable pakoras and like some sort of kafta with like a whatever.
Yeah.
And I ordered it and the guy brought it out and it blew my fucking nipples off. I mean, it was so, and it shifted my perspective of like what I think is really good. And then now it like ruined.
Oh, now you can't even eat Indian food here.
Well, because it's just not good.
Because it was just so good.
It was so good.
Did you have any in England?
Yes.
Yeah, we went to a
Indian
pretty
food.
good Indian place there in England, and it was very good. But it's hard to get Indian food here. There's not a big Indian population.
No, that's not great. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. So yeah. I think you're hit the nail on the head there. Like the setting. If the building, the crustier the building, the better the food's going to be.
The better the food.
We were just talking about that where they make the food right there in front of you, but it's Waffle House.
Oh yeah, were we talking about that?
No, we were talking.
I was talking about Waffle House with someone else on here, like not even a day ago.
Yeah, I was just talking to a couple days ago with our friends. I think we were in Tahoe. Someone was like, "Ooh, Waffle House is gross," and my husband was like, "Yeah, but they're cooking the food right in front of you. It's probably cleaner than."
True. I went to a Waffle House for the first time in years the other day because I was out drinking. I was a bit drunk. We go to a Waffle House.
Where is there one?
Near here, 290 and 83.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 290 and 83. There's a couple hotels there, and there's a Waffle House. Dude, the service was so bad.
There sure is a Waffle House right there.
The lady, she fucked up my order, and then the cook behind her was like, "No, man, he said sunny side up," and she was like, "Oh." And she was just bitching the whole time. She got everyone's change wrong.
It's hard out there.
She was fucking everything up, and the cook was killing it. The cook was like, "No, he said toast." No, he kept like correcting her, and she's like, "I'm too tired for this," and she walked off. And then when she would leave, people would be like, "Hey, man," and then they would tip the cook because he
Separate
was
from her.
Yeah, because they were like, "You're killing it, dude. You're," because he's
funny.
doing all the work and everything, and she was just like, "I don't want to be here. Fuck this."
Yeah, I've only been to Waffle House once in my life in Alabama.
Oh wow, that's
That
an
was an
experience. Yeah,
For sure. Have you ever been to Floribama? Like Gulf Shores?
Pensacola. No, I've never been there. I went to a Waffle House in South Carolina once,
Yeah.
and that was pretty interesting.
Floribama
But
was great. Gulf Shores is amazing.
I've heard it's one of the most amazing beaches in the world,
Yeah.
which you would not expect for Alabama or anything in the Bay or in the Gulf.
Anything east of the Mississippi is nice because all that dirt and crap come out of the Mississippi and it all goes west.
It all
that's
goes
why,
west.
That's why Louisiana and Texas beaches are ain't worth shit.
Yeah, Texas Beach is so.
Yeah.
It's a sad place. It
is.
really is.
South Padre's not so bad.
It's not
but
so bad, but
not-
it's still. The other thing that gets me about Texas beaches is people driving on the beach. I hate that.
It needs to stop.
It's so disrespectful, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, this is supposed to look like a beach, and it looks ridiculous.
Tires and oil and crap all over. Yeah, it's just nasty. It
It's
really
It
nasties
ruins
up.
the vibe. When you go to a beach in Brazil, I'm so spoiled, but when you go to a beach in Brazil, it's like you have been starving on land looking for the ocean for years, and it's just like the grass ends and the sand
Untouched.
begins, and then it starts off puffy and powdery, and then it slowly turns into the ocean, and there's no litter. It's beautiful.
That's what a beach should be.
Yeah, it's a beach. But then here it's like, watch out, this is actually a road, and then it's like, what the hell?
And you're next to a lifted Jeep with a MAGA flag blaring Kenny Chesney or
or like Sweet Caroline or something.
Yeah, Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
Which,
and there's like soda cans all over the place, and the sand is like rocks. It's like it's not quite powdery, you know.
Cigarette butts.
Cigarette butts is big.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gets the job done.
It gets the job done. It's cultural. Like I get it, and it's what we know. But I'll never forget that day we walked out to that beach in Gulf Shores. And I was like, oh shit,
that's a beach.
That's a beach.
Yeah, I grew up with the beaches
blue.
in California.
Yeah,
and those have their own kind of flair to them because the sand is a bit coarser there. They are nice. The water's
so cold.
That's
any time of year, right? Isn't like the height of summer is always cold.
It's interesting. You can actually pull up. Actually, let me show you. It's actually pretty interesting.
There I go, showing leg again.
Water line.
Sorry, people.
Water temperature charts around the world. Maybe that will pull it up.
It's like the coldest.
Yeah, if you... Yeah. So this is kind of gives you an idea. You see how it divots down into California?
There, yeah.
It's so interesting how... Like, here we go. Look.
Yeah,
there's a
right.
full-on divot along the California coastline.
Huh.
But then what's crazy is that shoots up over here. So, like, if you go to, like, France, that's kind of warm. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. And look at the Gulf, nice and warm.
Oh, the Gulf is warm as hell.
Which I love.
Yeah, and there's not California, Brazil, always warm. We go right around there. That's the beaches we go to right there.
We went to Uruguay last year, but we went in it was fall for them. So water was pretty cold still. I think we just put feet in.
That's a cool place.
Yeah.
First country in South America to legalize marijuana.
Yep. And I think the first country in the world to decriminalize homosexuality.
Really?
Like in the 30s.
In the 30s?
I think.
Oh, let's look that up.
Yeah, look that up. I think they were like one of the first ever.
Criminalize?
History.
Oh, well, France, 1971. Or 1791. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, Spain. That makes sense.
Oh, Soviet Union would be up there for sure.
1917. Dang. We've really come a long way in the last 100 years.
Yeah. The Soviets were doing a lot of other weird shit, though, that... Let's see. Post-World War II.
I think they may have been one of the first countries to have, like, laws on the books saying that it was...
Let's look up specific.
Yeah, let's look up Uruguay. It's a hard word.
To decriminalize... Oh, fuck. Criminalization? Like that? I still got it wrong.
Dang, you hit it.
Same-sex marriages.
In the world. Look, same-sex sexual activity has been legal with an equal age of consent since 1934. So that's what it was. Sexual activity, I guess.
Yeah.
I think they were one of the first to put a law down saying that it was...
It's interesting how...
okay to be gay.
Okay to be gay. It's interesting how, like, this whole quadrant right here, like, if you look at... So, Argentina is a shit show. You ever been to Paraguay?
No. I've only been to Uruguay and Chile.
So, Paraguay actually used to be a lot larger. It used to be like this. But, like, in the 1800s, there was a war where Argentina, I think it was this is Bolivia right here? Bolivia and Brazil all ganged up on Paraguay, and they invaded and they took a chunk out for themselves. Paraguay used to be one of the bigger powers in South America.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know if Uruguay was involved in that war, but I always thought that was interesting because people never hear about that.
What an interesting spot. I was shocked. I think for me, growing up on the border, it was a mind fuck for me to see, because Uruguay is very European.
Yeah,
very European. They're white.
So is Brazil, actually.
Yeah. I mean, we saw hardly anybody that looked like indigenous or native. Mostly white Europeans in Uruguay, but everybody speaks Spanish. So for me,
do you speak Spanish?
I do, but it's not great. It's not great. It's not conversational. I can get by. Like when we were in Uruguay, we went to Chile with our friends. I can order everyone food and drinks and get us directions and get money and get where we need to go and figure everything out. But the second someone starts like, well,
what's your life like?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Oh, shit.
So how long have you been here? When did you get here? When do you leave? I'm like, just stop. I can't.
Falls apart.
I can't keep it. I can't. I start sweating. And I'm not kidding. I don't mean that like figuratively. Like I literally start.
You're like, oh my
sweating
God.
because I'm like, shit, I can't do this.
I can't keep this up.
I can't keep this up.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you're being dedeceptive, because in the front end they're like, oh, this guy speaks Spanish, he's good to go. And then they ask you something and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying.
Language is a spectrum. I was talking about this with other people too. True. It's like people always think you either speak the language or you don't, but that's not really how it works. Like there are people who are fluent. There are people who are conversational. There's like a middle ground, all in between.
Yeah, and I understand most of it. I mean, people talking, I can, take from what I'm like. Okay, this is what they're talking about. Friends do that a lot. Like if we're hanging out somewhere and people are around us or speaking Spanish, they'll be like, "What are they saying?" And I'm like, "Well, she just said," so I can pick up on what people are saying, but speaking it back is really difficult for me. But so yeah, that was a big mindfuck for me to see white European people all speaking Spanish, and surprising. This shouldn't be a surprise to me. It really shouldn't be, but very few people spoke English. So it's interesting to sit there and look at someone who looks like just a white American, like you'd see anywhere here in the States, be like, not understand the word cup.
Yeah.
Like be like, I don't know what, I don't understand anything you're saying.
It gets so much worse, I feel like, in Argentina too, because I think my impression of Argentinians is they're so stuck up.
Oh yeah.
And they are like,
I've heard that.
We are the best. Like they think they're kind of like the French, like this. They're like the French of South America. And I think it's because they're so south that they are Spanish is that's it. That's all you're speaking down there. There's no other countries nearby with a huge influence. So whenever you go there and you speak Spanish poorly, or even they're like, "What are you doing? Like, what is this? You should know Spanish."
A couple of people asked me when we were there. We're kind of talking back and forth, and a couple of people said, "Are you from Mexico?" And I said, "No, but I grew up on the border, so that's why." So I thought that was very interesting that they could pick up on the way you're speaking of Spanish, like the words I use and the way, like my cadence, I guess, is very Mexico. So I thought that was interesting that people could pick up on that.
That's what happened to Mateo in his special. He was saying, because he's Italian,
yeah.
He would go to speak Spanish, and people would be like, "Are you Italian?" He's like, "No, it's because I guess I'm speaking Spanish the way I would speak Italian."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's very interesting. The words are different too, like especially words surrounding food.
Yeah.
That also threw me off.
What do you mean?
Like they just use different words, like for bacon, avocado, strawberry. Like
oh, they all
use
have their own
different words in Spanish. Like strawberry in South America, or maybe not all of South America, but at least in Uruguay was frutilla. And bacon was, I don't even know. Avocado was something else too. I'm like, what are y'all saying? Just words.
I didn't know that.
Not only were they different words, but words I'd never heard before.
That's a big one with Portuguese and Spanish too. We always try to speak in Spanish sometimes, but we get some words wrong. A big one that was always a confusion was embarrassed.
Vergüenza.
Yeah, but in Portuguese it's embarazado, but
in Spanish
that
means
pregnant.
There you go. Yeah. This is one of my favorites.
So my dad would be like, "I'm so embarrassed," and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Right now? How far along?
They're like, "Dang, really?"
One of my favorite things to say in Spanish. It's not a quote, but it's a thing, like a placard you see in bathrooms, and I think it's just funny. But it says, "En el caso que está embarazada, piénsalo antes de beber," which means
think about the baby after.
It's so antes is before, but it's if you think that you might be pregnant, think before you drink.
Think before you
alcohol.
drink. That's what it is.
But I love that. In the case that you might be pregnant,
think before you drink.
Think about it before you drink alcohol. I've kind of got a funny story about.
Don't even just the thought.
Think. Yeah, whatever your actions are, that's
the
your
cop's
choice.
Like, are you pregnant? I did think about it.
I thought about it.
You're good.
But I decided to drink anyway. When I was 20, 21, I worked at Dillard's. Worked at the mall.
Dillard's.
I worked at Dillard's in the
at
ladies.
Barton Springs?
No, down in the valley on the border, and no one speaks English there. When you walk into the mall in the valley, you enter into a different world. You're in Mexico. I mean, no one. They speak to you in Spanish first, and then once they realize you, then they switch to English. It's like kind of that.
I got you.
So I worked in the ladies' shoe department, hawking women's shoes.
Nice.
And I learned a lot of Spanish because I had to.
Yeah.
I was like forced to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
And I was still learning, words, trying to figure stuff out. And I was under the impression that escúchame meant excuse me.
Oh.
So I was walking up to women saying, escúchame, escúchame. Like, pardon me, excuse me. And after a while, I caught on that people would turn to me and people were making faces at me.
Does that mean listen to me?
It means listen to me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I'm walking up to random people and saying, listen to me, listen to me, and then walking away. So imagine in English, if someone came up to you, a stranger walked up behind you and said, hey, listen to me, and then walked off.
Listen to me.
Yeah. So finally, this lady I worked with was like, you fucking idiot. She was like, escúchame means listen to me, not excuse me. She goes, you're thinking of perdóname.
Perdóname. Or lo siento, right?
Or con permiso or something. There's a ton of different things. I also used to say card, like a credit card, is tarjeta, like tarjeta de crédito. But I used to say tarjeta because I thought it was like tarjeta. So I would say tarjeta, and people would always make weird faces. I think why people get confused is because I have the accent. I can speak.
You can do it.
I can do it. I have the voice.
But it's just wrong.
It's just wrong. It's like when someone is speaking English and they have a perfect American accent. But
you ever hear someone from Quebec talk?
No.
That shit is incredible because
I have to look that up.
It's literally what you're talking about. It's someone whose primary language is French, but they still have a North American accent. So when they speak in English, it's like, okay, you're American, or you're speaking like an American person, but you seem like you don't really know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? It kind of sounds like they're special ed sometimes.
Yes,
because you're talking to them and it's like, why are you fumbling these words? But then you realize, like, oh, it's your second language. It's really interesting when you hear someone from that area. It's very fascinating.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm very fascinated by accents, and I love. This is a recent one for me. I love the South African accent.
Oh,
like white South Africans, like Afrikaans,
like District 9.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, you never seen District 9? It's the Alien movie. That was set in Johannesburg.
Okay.
And it's about a guy who's South African and he is dealing with the aliens and like his experience dealing with the aliens. And he has a South African accent.
It's very interesting.
It is because it's like
not British, but it's not Australian.
But it's kind of in there somewhere.
Yes.
It's
like American, British, and Australian
all just
jumbled
thrown
together.
in a salad. Yeah,
it's crazy. Mm-hmm. My husband and I recently found this. It was like a BBC show back in the 2000s, and they did like little sketch comedy bits. It's 4 women. I can't remember what it's called. It's short lived. It maybe only did a few episodes, but they have this bit called Air Afrikaans, and it's these 2 flight attendants who are South African, and they're flight attendants for this airline called Air Afrikaans, and they're just ridiculous. Like they're like super shitty to all the. It's funny. It's really funny.
Oh yeah,
but their accents are so. It's just. Hilarious.
I couldn't even do it. It's kind of like. It's too Australian.
I've tried. I can. You want to know what's funny about an Australian accent? I can only do it if it's words that I've just heard someone say. Like I can imitate it, but I cannot. Like off the cuff, I can't just.
Like I want to. Let's go down to the bar.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't just.
Let's go down to the bar, my mate.
Yeah,
something like that.
Like it's got to be something like. There's a line from. Have you ever heard of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert?
No.
It's from the 90s, I think, queer movie about drag queens in Australia. And there's this one scene where they're in this bar. It's like one of my favorite lines for a movie. And it's like a dyke bar. And these like motorcycle dykes walk up to these queer guys, these gay men in drag. And the lady goes, "Well, look what we've got here, eh? A couple of showgirls. Showgirls.
Couple of showgas.
Couple of showgirls.
Couple of showgas.
So that I can, like, if I've heard someone do it, I can emulate it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't,
what's another one?
I always go
that's
British.
Really interesting. I'm trying to think of one. I like the Dakotas. You ever heard of the people up there?
Like North South Dakota.
They're like, oh yeah, there. Oh yeah.
You can't get me off a Minnesota accent.
Yeah.
I love oh geez.
Oh geez
crap.
there, buddy.
Oh gosh, that's cute.
Gosh, they're done there. I was thinking about that last week there, yeah.
It's almost
like Fargo.
Yeah.
Oh
crap.
That one's a good one.
Yeah. I love that accent. It's so wholesome.
There's a couple that are just like, that's so good.
Uh-huh.
What's another
What's
one?
that other one?
I like a good Georgia accent too, like a South, like a Georgia Southern accent.
I've got a yoga instructor from Alabama, and I love her accent.
Yeah.
She says, when you're doing yoga, there's a big mirror in the front, and she'll say, "Look up at yourself in the mirror."
Yeah.
In the mirrors.
In the mirror.
The mirror.
The mirror.
I think that's cute.
Southern accents. Arkansas, they say Ewans. That's one thing I was like. Instead of you all.
Ewans?
Ewans.
That's wild.
What are Ewans doing?
Ewans. Use guys.
Use guys. That's going to be.
Like Boston-y.
Yeah, more like up northeast.
Northeast side, yeah.
But I grew up in California until I was 12. So I grew up with you guys. That's what I would say. You guys.
Yeah. You haven't acclimated to the y'all?
No, my sister has tried to adopt it, and she's doing pretty well. But even when she says it, I'm like, stop. Because she just goes, "Hey, y'all." And I'm like, no, that's... No. Yeah, dude, what are you doing? Hey, y'all. I'm always like, hey, what's up, guys? Or you guys. I've gotten in trouble. I worked at a pretty corporate place, and they were like very serious about the whole language and like not gendering people incorrectly.
Sure.
And they would give us flack for that. And I was like, man, that's just how I talk. Like, you guys.
Hello?
Sorry, yeah.
We have a guest?
I was like, oh, what is that? But you guys seems very,
yeah.
I don't know. It seems natural to me. I don't know.
Just kind of rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
I've recently gotten into the habit of saying when I'm in public, especially with people I don't know, and my husband hates it. He thinks it's embarrassing, but I go very Southern. I've really picked up the word darling has really been blowing up for me. So, anybody out in public, I say, "You bet, darling. Thank you, darling. Hey, darling."
I can see how that can get addictive.
It is. Because it's cute. It's sweet.
I did pick up howdy.
Howdy.
I do like a good howdy, but I like saying it kind of gross. You know what I mean? Like howdy.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, my Texas
howdy.
heart.
How you doing? Howdy.
Howdy.
How's it going?
When we were in Patagonia. It was our last day. We were hiking, and we passed by these 3 guys. They look like and well, in fact, they were kind of UT frat boys, but one of them they had cowboy hats on, and just the way they were dressed. And I said, those guys are American. There's no chance these guys aren't American.
Yeah.
And they walked by, and one of them said, "Howdy," and I turned, and I said, "Are y'all Texas boys?" And they said, "Yeah, we're from like the DFW area. One of us is from Austin, and one of them lived in Tennessee."
Nice.
And I was like, I knew it. And they said, "How'd you know?" I said, "Well, the hat and the howdy."
White guy, howdy, cowboy hat. That's Texas.
Like, you've got to be from Texas.
Gotta be Texas. I don't think they would do that in really any other state. Like, I'm thinking New Mexico, probably not.
I don't think so.
I don't think Louisiana.
Maybe the hat.
Maybe the hat, but I don't think
Oklahoma,
they would
maybe?
wear it out on a trip.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, Oklahoma, maybe. Oklahoma's basically North
Oklahoma
Texas.
is basically North Texas.
At this point,
Maybe Oklahoma. Maybe.
Yeah.
But there's like 5 people that live there.
Right before we went on that trip. So it was me and my husband, and then we have these 2 friends, 2 guys. They're a couple that we went with to Patagonia. And a couple weeks before we went, we were at their house, and one of the guys' mom was there visiting. And she knew about the trip. She knew they were going with 2 friends, but she hadn't made the connection yet that we were the friends going with them on the trip until a little bit later. She's from Lubbock. They grew up out in Lubbock, so they've got that real thick, West Texas accent. And we were leaving, and her son, our friend, said, "Hey, we leave with them in a couple weeks." And his mom turned to us and she said, "Oh, y'all." She said, "You must be one of them hacking boys." And I said, "I beg your pardon?"
boys.
She goes, "I didn't know you were one of them hacking boys." And I said, I am so sorry. I don't know what you're saying." And she said, "The hacking boys." And he said, "Hiking," because we're all going hiking together. You're one of the boys that is going with them hiking.
Hacking.
You're one of them hacking boys.
Yeah,
and I
that's
thought
funny.
that was so cute.
Yeah, yeah.
And I felt bad for my friend because I kept saying it. Like after I said, "Oh, we're the hacking boys," and I had to tell him
He was
later.
like, "Stop,
I
dude."
said, I said, "I really don't want you to think that I'm making fun of your mother. I'm not making fun of her."
yeah.
I said I thought it was very endearing and very cute.
People do that with my mom because she has an accent all the time. People
Yeah.
are like giving her shit for her accent because she's from Brazil, like I said.
yeah.
So she always has her own little things that she does. One thing what she does instead of the word year,
Okay.
she'll say ear.
Ear.
Yeah.
Huh.
She'll just be like, "We did that last year," or ear.
Last year.
She'll do that all the time, and people will be like, "Did she say ear?"
I mean, you think about. I mean, me and my husband grew up 4 hours from each other in the same state, and he says some things that are crazy. He says vacuum.
Vacuum?
Whoa. He says tour instead of tour.
Tour?
Like we're going on tour.
Caramel?
I don't know what he says for that one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I just got made fun of
You say
recently.
fixin'?
I say fixin' a lot. Yeah, fixin' to. I said scenario the other day, and someone made fun of me for that.
That's weird.
Is it?
Scenario's fine.
That's what I thought.
They're weird.
They're
for that.
weird for that.
Yeah,
It's just
scenario. I would say
yeah.
scenario. What's the other way?
Scenario.
Scenario. Mm-hmm. That's
I think
tomato. That
That's
doesn't
that's
matter.
what I say. Yeah, it's a
that's
scenario.
fine.
Just it's either way. They're like,
One of my buddies gives me so much shit for saying photo.
what would you say otherwise?
He says it's a picture, dude. And I'm like, look, it's a photo of us. He's like, no, it's a picture. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean,
picture sounds like you drew it.
yeah, picture it feels more of like an umbrella term. Like it could be a lot
Yeah.
of different things, whereas a photo is much more nuanced and like specific to what
He
you're
gives
talking
me
about.
so much crap. He's always like, stop saying photo. It's a picture. And I'm like, I think that's fine. I don't see a problem.
Yeah, they both work.
Yeah.
You're getting more granular, more specific. I think that's what language is all about.
Yeah.
So I'm on your side there.
Yeah, yeah. Do you wanna keep going?
Sure.
Okay, I'm just getting a vibe check.
How much time have we gone?
We're at 2.5
2.5 what?
hours. So we can keep going. I just wanted to make
Damn,
sure.
I feel
Yeah.
like we've been sitting here for 30 minutes.
Nah, dude.
2.5 hours.
2.5.
It's 4:30.
It is
My
4:30.
goodness.
I'm just checking up on you because it's like a casino in here.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
we just had that conversation in Lake Tahoe because
Oh,
we
yeah,
went
yeah,
gambling
yeah.
at the casinos on the Nevada side.
Were you good?
No, not this time. My
I
friend
suck
made
at
a
gambling.
couple $100.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, we weren't very good at it. But yeah, we had that same conversation because we got in at 4 or 5. And I turned to them. I said, y'all realize it's almost 7, right? And they were like, what?
Yeah.
My grandma, God love her, she just turned 94.
Whew.
Back in the 90s, 80s, 90s maybe, her brother lived in Vegas, her brother and his wife. So she'd go over there a lot, stay with them, visit. My grandma loved Vegas, loved shows, loved gambling, loved it. It's one of her favorite things to do. And she said they would go into the casinos after dinner and, you know, they'd gamble, they'd have fun, they'd be drinking, doing whatever. She said we'd get up and we'd walk out of the casinos and the sun would be up. It'd be morning. Because there's no windows. You just have no...
You just keep on going.
And the drinks are flowing.
It's amazing the psychological tricks they do in there. One of them is the floors.
Yep.
They're purposely disgusting because they don't want you to look at them. Because that means that you're looking down at something.
Not up.
So they want you to be looking up, so that you can focus on the machines. What else was a big thing? The temperature. They pump oxygen in there.
I heard that before.
So that you feel a little bit high. And if you look around, there isn't a lot of windows. There's no windows at all.
No windows.
And it's because they want to keep it so you don't see the sun coming up and down, obviously, but also to keep the oxygen in place.
Yep.
And then there's also an airlock when you come in and out of the casino. Again, it's to keep oxygen flowing in the room. And then, of course, the free drinks.
Free drinks.
So that you can just stay on the machines.
Yep. And, you know, this is the second time I had ever been to a casino like that. And the first time I did it, and I did it again this time, but you got to buy a pack of cigarettes and sit there and smoke.
Yeah.
You just have, I mean, it's just, it's great.
I love smoking.
I don't smoke otherwise, but.
I love smoking too.
I smoke, just not cigarettes.
I smoke cigarettes, and I don't do it often, but man, when I drink and I start ripping them, I keep ripping them. I actually gave myself bronchitis.
Shit, just from smoking cigarettes.
Just from smoking.
Yeah.
So I have to chill out. I don't think I can smoke much anymore.
I can very easily see why people are like daily. It's great.
It is so good. But what's crazy is when I am sober, it makes me sick.
Yeah.
But when I am a little bit of a buzz, I'm like, dude, give me a fucking
chain smoke them.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know why I get sick when I'm sober. I have no clue. But
when we were at the casino, and my one of our friends said, maybe I'll try a cigarette. And I said, have you ever smoked a cigarette before? And he said, no. I said, I don't think you should try it.
Yeah.
I said, I think you'll throw up.
Yeah. If you've never smoked a cigarette, you should keep that V card for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Because I won't lie, it is good, but it's like, stuff. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
There's a scene. Have you ever watched Frasier much?
A little bit, not a lot.
There's this episode. I think it's kind of mid series. It was like 11 seasons, so it's somewhere in there. But he's got this manager, BB Glazer, who's his, career manager. And there's an episode where she's trying to marry this really, really old man for his money. But the stipulation is if they get married, she has to quit smoking. And Frasier wants her to marry this man because then it's like beneficial
for him.
Yeah, for everybody. So he's
trying to help her quit.
He's trying to help her quit. So he says, "Why don't you come and move in with me, and I'll help you
quit."
So they're sitting at the table. It's like Frasier, her, his dad, his brother. Everyone's kind of sitting around, and some people are like, "Yeah, we used to smoke, but we don't anymore." And I'll have to find it and send it to you. But BB goes into this monologue. It's poetic about the feeling of smoking. She goes something about I couldn't do it as well as her, but as the smoke envelops the inside of you like a warm hug, and then the velvety exhale. Like she's just going on and on about this, what smoking is like.
Just a beautiful little monologue.
Beautiful experience. And everybody at the table's like,
I want to smoke.
I want a cigarette right now. So I get it. But I think to your point, smoking every once in a while makes it more enjoyable and special.
Yeah. I've never been someone to smoke every day. It's usually when I'm drinking. But then when I drink, I smoke. Yeah. I'm like, give me all of them. Let's keep going. I'm chaining it. Yeah. But then the next day, it's so much worse because it dehydrates you so much more.
Yeah.
But
and the smell. I mean, that's
the smell
probably it's terrible.
And the stains on your teeth. And
fingernails and
Yeah, the fingernails too. That is true.
I used to have a teacher when I was in the 5th grade, and her fingernails, like this finger, these 2 fingers and her thumb were like yellow.
It's just from like contact with that
smoke, yeah. Like yellow. Her teeth were real yellow. We used to see her when we'd go to recess and we'd come back. You could see her leaning on her car in the parking lot smoking a cigarette.
Like Ben Affleck. You seen those Ben Affleck memes?
Yes.
Dude, those memes are so funny.
Just deflated, defeated.
Just like, dude, just fuck. With a Dunkin' Donuts can. Just, dude, I hate my life.
That's terrible.
Dude, that relationship he had with J-Lo looked like the worst shit ever. And then he kept going back. I thought it was so funny. And it was always on the news. I just loved seeing all the clips of them in public, and they just clearly look unhappy. It was very so unhappy. Funny.
Yeah, that was interesting. Those 2. What an odd couple. I don't know what those 2 ever.
Yeah, I think Ben Affleck's the worst dude, in my opinion. I think he just looks like an awful dude. I think every movie that he's in that he did a good job, it was because they were like, hey, just be yourself. We need the character to be kind of an asshole. So just do what you do.
Put you into it.
Yeah, just lean into it.
And that'll come across.
And then he was like, all right. And then it's always, those are always his best movies, is when he's just himself, you know?
Have you seen any of the Alec Baldwin and Hilaria Baldwin? They have that show, a new show, like a reality TV show about their lives.
No.
You should watch some clips of it. It's
Alec Baldwin and Ilaria? Is this old? This got
No. It's new.
Really?
Yeah, it's like actively the show's on.
This is post Rust.
Yes.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yes, I think it's in an effort to kind of restore his image and to make him seem more like Family Guy. But
I think it is kind of screwed that he did one thing that was questionable, and now his image is shattered. Right. I mean, like, you know, you're on a set, you have a gun, you point it, you shoot it. Yeah, he did that. He shouldn't have done that.
Well, there was also that incident a few years ago when he left that voicemail for his daughter and called her like a fat, stupid pig whore or something like that.
Oh,
do you
really?
remember that?
No, I didn't see that. What the fuck was that?
There's been a few things he's done.
Was it ironic or jokingly?
No, he was being very serious.
Oh, wow.
He was like irate and called her and left her a voicemail and called her a bunch of...
What's crazy is she took that and leaked it. That's
probably, yeah. But anyways, their relationship's so funny because his wife... Ilaria. Do you know that story? What's the deal with her?
Oh, dude, someone was telling me about this and how she fakes an accent.
It's hilarious.
Dude, someone was here telling me this.
It's so funny. How do you say a cucumber? She pretends like she doesn't know words. It's it's very comical. But
she's serious.
She's serious. That's the best part, is that she's not in on the joke.
Telling me about this, man. Man, someone was telling me about this.
But she's so funny. Like, in the interviews, like on the show or when they do interviews, if he talks while she snaps and she's like, she does this thing where she goes, I'm talking. When I'm talking, you're not talking. I'm talking, you're not talking.
Oh, like Master in Disguise?
Yes. It's really
this
interesting.
Is what you're doing?
This is what you're doing?
This is what I want you to do.
This is what I want you to do.
Yeah.
And they're just like always like griping with each other. It's really quite funny to see.
That's crazy.
There's something about seeing famous rich people be like...
have characters and obvious flaws that are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
A friend of mine was telling me that he had a mom or a relative, very wealthy woman, schizophrenic. And because she's so wealthy, there's nothing anyone can do about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's like untouchable.
Because if you're homeless and schizophrenic, it's like, okay, you're going to be probably going to a facility.
Yeah.
Someone's going to take care of it.
Yeah.
But if you're wealthy and then you go loose, what is anyone going to say? It's like you have power over all the money. Like, what is someone really going to do to tackle that?
Unless you're Wendy Williams.
Who was that?
Wendy Williams?
Yeah.
It's a really interesting situation. She was a daytime talk show host for years. Actually, started off in radio. I think back in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, she was really famous for really like hard-hitting interviews with celebrities. Like she'd ask...
oh, I know her.
Yeah.
She lost her mind?
She's lost it, yeah. And she's under like conservatorship. Wells Fargo has, I think, put like freezes on all her assets. Like it's a people. It's one of those like Free Britney campaigns, like Free Wendy type of things. But
well, Britney's actually crazy.
Britney's
I think.
nutty. Yeah, she's off.
You seen those Instagram videos where they're like,
I feel so bad for her. She's off her rocker.
Dude, she's nuts.
She's
like makeup. She's like, hey guys, today
with the running and the movements and it's very erratic. It's very crazy.
What is going on?
Yeah. But again, you can't really. I don't know. It's an interesting situation. I guess like you were saying, like you can't touch them. Like
you can't. Yeah, they're untouchable. Well, because everyone had the campaign where they were like, get her out of her dad's conservatorship, and then once they freed her, they were like, ooh, like damn, maybe she should be there.
Yeah, I always kind of take issue with people who take really strong stances on stuff like that. I'm like, you don't have the whole story. Like these are people's actual lives.
Yeah,
with a lot of nuance and a lot of gray area and a lot of. I mean, you're just not privy to this person's life or finances or relationships, and Lord knows the media is not like giving us, it's all controlled, right? Like what information you get,
what you get.
So it's hard to. I always have a hard time taking a stance on something like, or being so like
adamant
about something like that because I just don't have the facts and
no
one really does except for those involved.
Nobody knows
except for those close. But yeah, similar. Wendy Williams has kind of gone that way of, people trying to get her free from conservatorship.
Yeah, I have seen her before. I didn't realize that she was off the rocker.
Yeah,
but
they're saying it's like alcohol-induced Alzheimer's or dementia, alcohol-induced dementia.
Well, she was only 60.
Yeah, she's not very old.
Really must have been knocking him back.
Oh, I think so.
Shit.
I think yeah. I think
sometimes I think I have an alcohol problem, and then I hear what people are doing, and I'm like, I'm fine.
I kind of think about that sometimes with like smoking pot.
You smoke?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And sometimes I feel, I don't ever, unless it's the weekend or I'm on vacation. I usually don't smoke during the day. You smoke at night before bed. And I've gone through like little bouts of like, gosh, this is a problem. Maybe I smoke too much. And then I hear about other people and I'm like, I don't smoke.
Yeah.
Some
people
don't
go
smoke
nuts, dude.
I know people who smoke like from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep, they're smoking and,
I think when
I just can't do that.
I think the majority of your life you should be sober.
Yeah.
Like I firmly believe that. I think it's cool to kind of dip in and be like, hey, all right. It's like a hot tub.
Yeah.
You don't sleep in the hot tub.
You get all pruny.
Yeah, you're going to be not feeling good.
Yeah.
What you need to do is get out and then go back to your real world.
Yeah.
But some people, they wake up and they're right into it. And that's what people do with alcohol. But nobody bats an eye with the people that wake and bake.
Right.
But if you wake up and you take a shot, that's not great. And I think waking up and smoking weed, science has proven that it's not as bad for your body.
Sure.
But every day, your lungs will suffer. Like you will increase your chance of getting lung cancer. Without question.
I say that all the time. I think for me, it's there is some cognitive dissonance going on there for sure. Just like people who smoke cigarettes, people who drink, people who text and drive. I mean, there's so many, things that people do that we know are not good, we know are bad, right? But we do them anyway. But I think a lot about that. Like, it drives me crazy when people are like, well, smoking weed's good for you. It's not bad for you. It's not proven to be. I'm like, you are burning something and inhaling it into your lungs. That is inherently bad for you.
That's bad for you.
It's bad for you.
It's bad for you.
It just is.
But the argument is always, well, it's not as bad as alcohol. It's like, well, if alcohol is the bar,
right.
What are we talking about?
Exactly.
I mean,
it's apples and oranges. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got to look at things.
Fucking chocolate can be bad for you. Like, just you don't eat chocolate all the time. Right. You wouldn't smoke pot all the time.
Yeah.
But,
exactly.
Yeah. Pot is like, I'm surprised it's not legal. I think it should be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of lax around pot when we still don't really know what it's doing.
Yeah, I think it needs to be studied more.
Yeah. So one guy had a pretty good argument that if you are going to be schizophrenic, so schizophrenia I think occurs later in your 20s, like late 20s.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That's when it snaps.
Huh.
It's usually you go your whole life, and then late in your 20s is when it really starts to pop out.
I didn't know that.
But if you are smoking pot regularly, it comes out sooner. That's what they found. So smoking pot can release it sooner than the genie comes out of the bottle faster, which is interesting. There's some other... What's up?
I said, and once it's out.
And once it's out, it's out.
Yeah.
And, and you can always make the argument, well, if I already had it, I would have had it. And that's fine. But there are other things, too. Like, there are some things I think it affects in your brain. The other thing is I think pot lasts a lot longer than alcohol. Mm-hmm. If I'm high the next day, I still kind of feel it. Now, I don't smoke as much as a lot of people.
Sure.
But every time I've gotten high and smoked pot, the next day I'm like, I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of fuzz. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think a lot about like pens, oils that people smoke.
Oh, those are crazy.
I think about gummies. Like there's just it's the Wild West.
Like dabs.
Yeah. Like what are we in our youth putting into our bodies that we don't know? In 50 years, people can be like, well, everyone who smoked oil pens back in the 2000s all have throat and lung cancer.
Yeah, they have 6 toes now or some shit.
You just don't know.
You just don't know. The other one's vapes. That's another big one. And those are fucking deadly.
Yeah.
I had a vape that someone left here, and he was like, you can have it. Try smoking it. And he left the state, and he just left a vape on my counter. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. I was there just on my computer ripping this thing every 5 seconds. And I was like, this is so good. But I was like, and then you could just recharge it. I was like, this is deadly.
Dangerous.
Like, this is a deadly thing.
Have you heard about the Zyn craze?
Oh, Zyn is even worse.
Yeah. I know a few people that are got on that. And I won't ever touch it because I was a heavy smoker for many years, and I just know it would be bad.
Zyn is even worse. I think the most powerful thing that you have to make a presentation about who you are is your teeth. Mm-hmm. It shows how you take care of yourself.
Yep.
And it shows how clean you are as a person. Mm-hmm. And it's also the most beautiful thing about a person. Mm-hmm. And to shove a little thing in there right on my gums nonstop.
Down, yeah.
It's like, come on, man. What are you doing?
I had braces in my late 20s. I was in adult braces, so like 27 to 30. Because my teeth were fucked. This tooth here was like up in here.
Yeah, so were mine.
These were all messed up and crazy. And I was really self-conscious about it all through my 20s. I never smiled. And people used to tell me, they'd be like, it's fine. People really, I don't really notice it. Now, why do you need to change it? Why do you need to fix them? And I thought,
that's bullshit.
That's bullshit. I'm like, it looks nice.
It looks better.
Yeah. I'm like, it looks better.
What it cost?
Nothing. I had a neighbor growing up who was an orthodontist, and he moved to Corpus.
Can you get that ortho deal?
Yeah. The only thing was I had to drive every month to Corpus for 3 years.
You got an ortho guy.
He did it for free. Wow. Aside from the gas and wear and tear I put on my car for 3 years driving.
What does it usually cost?
Braces for shit. I don't know.
I would say it's like 3 to 5 grand is what I would assume. Yeah,
I think so.
But that's chump change.
Yeah.
Chump
for what
change.
You're getting.
For what you're getting.
Yeah.
Like you're instantly, if you're a 5, you're going to a 6. Yep. You know what I mean? It's an instant level up on your appearance.
I went from a 10 to a 12.
Hell yeah.
And on that note,
oh shit,
let's leave it at that. No, I thought it was great. I hated having braces as an adult. I hated it.
Yeah, I had them in high school.
I wish it had been in high school.
Yeah. My parents sat me down. They were like, your shit's fucked up. And I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
I cried when they told me.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to need it. I was like, damn it. I thought my shit was perfect. And they were like, dude, look in a mirror.
And it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I had to get rubber bands.
I hated the rubber bands.
I had to do the whole thing. Because my jaw was like unaligned also. So they had to do a whole reconstruction.
Did they ever do that thing? He used to do this to me. I don't know what the purpose of it was. I need to look it up. He'd get like a file and like file the backs of my teeth.
Oh, to
like
angle them out more?
I don't know, but he would like, it felt like a, like those things that are, it's like sandpaper, but it's metal. Like
yeah. Oh, that gave me a shiver, dude.
He was like grinding the back of my teeth, and I never could figure out the point of why he did that. But
one of my dentists, my vampire tooth, She did that with the spinny thing, but I think it's the same thing.
Yes.
And she angled it. She literally dulled the vampire tooth. It used to be real sharp, but she dulled it out because it was too large. So they made it smaller by just dulling it out with that thing. And I remember when she was doing it, I was like,
awful.
Sound, and it smells like burning. It's like a burning smell.
Yeah.
God, knock me out, dude. Just knock me out next time, you know?
Yeah, I know. I had before, that was one of the stipulations. They said, before you get braces, you need to have some teeth removed, like your wisdom teeth and some other teeth. Because I have a lot of big teeth and a small mouth. So I had to have my fangs down here removed and some other teeth back here. I had 8 teeth removed in one sitting.
Ooh. Why?
They said it was easier to do it all at once.
You had a bunch of extra teeth or something?
They weren't extra teeth, but okay, so my mouth, I have a small mouth. It's not very big. I mean, my mouth is pretty tiny, but I had a full set of big teeth, so they were all crowded in there.
I open? So did they take out molars?
I took out bicuspids up here, so these two in here, and they took out my bottom fangs.
But you have a full set.
I don't. I only have 22 teeth, or 2 less than what you're supposed to have.
Then what is in replacement of your bottom fangs?
They squeezed everything together. So I don't have fangs on the bottom. I don't have fangs. I go from bicuspids straight to these 4.
Right to molar.
Uh-huh. These fangs right
You
here.
just have such big ass teeth.
Uh-huh. So I had those fangs there, but my wisdom teeth were all impacted. They were all coming out sideways.
Dude, the respect I have for orthodontists is actually crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The things, the idea of braces is nuts.
Yeah.
You essentially are breaking your jaw and your teeth like in real time.
Yeah, but that's got to be kind of fun to be like, oh, this guy's got this problem. I got to do this, move this here,
To fix it.
yank that here, put pressure on this to bring it back here.
And what a slow game.
Yeah.
3-4 years before the final result.
Yeah.
You know?
And every couple months, you're like just smoking, looking at that guy's mouth. Like, that's good. It's all coming together. Yeah.
I did that.
I did that.
I'm the
Put your shit together.
The Picasso of orthodontists.
I remember going to my orthodontist's office and she had kids smiling. She's like, see that shit? That was
That's
me,
me.
dude.
You see that shit right there?
You see
I did
that shit? You want some?
It's a pride point for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, what they do is pretty spectacular. What
Oh,
you can
yeah,
do with-
for sure.
yeah.
That's incredible what they do. Yeah.
So yeah, they ripped 8 teeth out of me.
Better than, well, would I say better than a dentist? Maybe. I think I would.
Yeah, I don't know. Dentistry is
Dentists, I always feel like they're so, maybe it's because I have clean teeth, but every time I go to the dentist, the guy's just like, yeah, okay, you're good. And then he leaves. And then they're little, cleaning ladies. It feels like it feels weird in there. You know what I mean?
It's very weird.
Yeah, it's like this guy doesn't do anything, and you guys are doing all the work, and you're probably not getting paid as much as this guy, and then you're just his goon
He
that
just
cleans.
looks at X-rays and goes, yeah, it's probably good.
He just looks like he's faking it.
Yeah.
He's
I
like-
actually left I had the same dentist for 8 years. And next month I'm going to a new dentist.
Yeah.
I finally pulled the plug on that first guy. He's just stupid. This is crazy.
Didn't like him?
He's fine. The last time I saw him, so I go every 6 months. Same thing every time I go. This tooth, we got to keep an eye on this one. This one may need this in the future. He's been telling me that for like 4 years.
Oh,
we can keep an eye on this one, and we maybe. He's always saying the same.
he's
thing
got you
about
on the hook.
same tooth. And so this last time I went in December, I turned to him. I said, "You know what? When I come back next summer, just do it. Just give me the root canal or
Yeah.
the crown. Just fucking do it, because I'm tired of hearing your ass talk about how it may.
There's that road rage.
Yeah. It may need to be done. Maybe we need to keep an eye on it. And I'm like, just do it then if it's a problem.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and I'm looking at the screen. He's looking at the screen, and he kind of takes a step back, and I'm looking at it. And I said, you know what? Next time I come in the summer, I think I'm just going to do it. Just do the crown. And I turn around, and he was gone. He that Homer Simpson meme where he goes into the bushes?
Just into the bush.
Yeah, it was like that.
Dang.
And he walked out, and I looked at the hygienist, and she had a little bag for me. She said, thanks. And I said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not coming back. I said, I'm done with this guy. So I'm going to my husband's dentist. It's like half a mile down the road from my house. So
Oh, that's nice.
I could ride my bike.
I still go to the same dentist I've been going to since I was like 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That's a long, how old are you?
31.
Yeah, damn, almost 20 years.
Yeah. I've been going to the same dude.
Do you have a hard time? Do you have a hard time turning 30?
Alexa, stop. Yes.
Me too.
Very hard time.
I had a rough time turning 30.
I think that's why I started doing this too. This in comedy, because I turned 30 and I was like, all right, I'm 30. I have a job that I hate. Financially, I did well in my 20s. But spiritually, I am sad.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never done anything I liked. I've always just been kind of just working as a pawn in other people's machine and things that they want.
I feel that.
And I was unhappy. And I was like, I got to do something different. And I remember, because I've been in this house for 6 years, and I was like 27, 26, laying in bed and being like, I'll get my shit together before I'm 30. Yeah. And then one day I was laying in that same bed looking up at the same ceiling, and I'm like, fuck me, I'm 30. And that
comes
hit,
quick.
That hit hard. And I was like, I need to do, if I want to do things in my life, I got to just do them.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, all right, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to start doing some comedy. I'm going to start actually doing the things that I like doing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I did a lot of the stuff that I did in my 20s. Like, I get a lot of experience.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, all the real estate stuff. I know how to make money, and I know how to make money. But it's just soulless. That's the downside.
Yep.
Is that you work at these companies and they were like, stop being yourself is what they want. They're like, I want you to not be yourself. I want you to be a caricature of what we expect. Yeah. And I hate that. I hate that.
That's why I had to. Yeah, that's why I had to get out.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. It works for some people. You know, it works for some people, and I just wouldn't. I wouldn't those people.
Yeah, people. I think it works for some people. Some people don't mind it.
Or they lie to themselves and say that it works for them.
But I think some people kind of get off the way they. I think some people the way they compartmentalize or the way that they the way that they get around it is they go, fuck those guys. Like, I'm just lying. You know what I mean? They kind of throw it back on them. Like, I'm lying. Like, it's not really who I am. I don't care. And they can kind of rationalize that they're the winner. But I can't lie to myself like that. It's like I'm pretending to be someone for them. Yep. That's the truth.
Yep. That's a big reason I got out of banking. You know, banking's very
much like that.
Very conservative, very buttoned up, very, you have to act a certain way, be a certain, you know.
But like you said, it was probably fun in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was fun. We had a guy, what was that guy's name? I can't remember. Really nice kid, came in as a credit analyst, and Hispanic guy, which I think there was some stuff going on there. I had a couple of high ups, like regional managers, say pretty shitty racist things to me, which I'd never experienced in my life because I grew up on the border. So it's like, you know, Hispanics are like 80% of the population, 85%. So, and just, you know, I didn't really experience any of that. But this kid, he comes in and he's got, you know, dressed really nice, starts working there. You know, he's got kind of long hair up top that he slicks back. And they told him he needed to cut his hair. They're like, you need to cut that. It doesn't look professional. And I remember looking, like, after I heard that, going to his office and being like, his hair looks great. Like, he's slick. He looks nice. It's clean. He takes good care of it.
Yeah, man.
It just wasn't, you know, it wasn't
cookie cutter.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a little bit beyond, and they didn't like
I had
that.
similar experiences. Like, a big one was when I was working at Realtor.com, and I was on the phone. I started getting good at sales, and I was like, I'm getting good at this finally, and I was really excited about it. And I'm on the phone with a client, and the client's cussing, and I'm cussing because we're talking and we're having a good conversation. Yep. And then at the end, he buys, and he does like the big premium package, like the one that we all get excited about. And then everyone's like, nice sale. And I ring the gong, and I'm like, yes, what a great day.
Yeah.
I get pulled into an office, and they're like, Eric, we're going to dock some pay because you were cussing on that call. In our recording of the call, it seems like you were being inappropriate. And I'm like, I listened to the recording, and it's totally fine. I'm talking the way I'm talking to you now.
Yeah.
And
well, that's probably why you made that sale.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason.
And I'm sitting there like, you're telling me the guy is happy. I have another call with him today to follow up with him. We're we're buddies. You're telling me that was wrong? And they were like, yeah. And that is when I was like, this is fucked. Like, if that is wrong, then I don't know what's right. I was like, I can't be involved in this. And that day, I was like, I got to quit. And then I started selling. I went to work for a client to sell mortgages. And yeah, that was my first big corporate red flag. And then I started selling mortgages with like at a small outfit, which was pretty fun. And then I started working at Homeward.
Oh, I know Homeward. Yeah, we used them when we bought our house.
Yeah, and Homeward, different corporate problems. It was a lot of. It wasn't corporate like that. It was more corporate in like, we want you to be on the 8 a.m. call every morning. And then you get to the call and it's just like, what are we
about nothing?
What are we doing here? Like, what is the point of this call? And then we want you to report to your manager every week for check-ins. Useless meeting. Just a useless meeting. We want you to do training every week with this person. Useless. Useless. Just like wasted time into these wasted. It's just like, dude, you realize I could be calling right now?
For what?
For what?
Yep.
To make sure that I'm in my seat? Because it was like peak COVID.
Yeah.
So it's like, are you guys just making sure that I'm awake? Is that what this is? Maybe.
Yeah.
But and that was another one where I was like, I cannot handle this. Like, we should be using our time efficiently. This is not right.
I have a huge problem. I think some of the road rage comes in for this. I have a huge problem with efficiency, especially like on the roads. Like, I get real road rage when people don't zipper.
Yeah.
I always think to myself, this could be so much more efficient. Like, if people were just paying attention, we could get this done. Like, traffic could be, if we didn't have cell phones in our hands and people paid attention, I truly believe traffic would be half of what it is. It wouldn't be as intense.
Yeah.
But that efficiency drives me crazy when people, like you're saying in that job, where they want you to do, these series of things, but you can't see any benefit. It's all time wasted.
It's literally time wasted.
Yeah.
I started leaving
it's just
calls.
Not efficient.
That's how I got in trouble. Was I would just start leaving calls. I was like, I'm sorry, I have another call, and I would just leave. And then eventually they started calling me out and being like, why are you leaving the call? I'm like, because there's nothing of value. Yeah. And if I'm looking at an email that I want to get done, if I can cut my day in half by eating into this garbage that you guys are feeding me, then I will do that. I'm sorry. And at first they were like, okay, because I was actually like number one producer. So they were like, all right, let him do what he needs to do. But then some new management came in and they were much more hard ass about like, you got to be at all the meetings. And then I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like, this is too much.
My husband works at the airport. He's in
you mentioned this.
Airport finance. And he's started doing this thing recently where he doesn't really allow anyone to put meetings on his calendar longer than about 15 or 30 minutes. And he says, if we cannot come to a solution and figure this out
in 15 minutes,
what
the fuck is
what
this?
are we doing?
Yeah.
We're all professionals. We've all got shit going on. So, because he's noted, he goes, people put an hour long, he goes, what ends up happening is people talk about other stupid shit for 45 minutes, and in the last 15 minutes, we get the job done. He goes, we need to cut all that out because there's no point. There's no reason for any of that. So he's tried cutting his meetings down to 15, 30 minutes. And that forces people to get to the point
faster
and figure out what they need to figure out up front.
That's a really good point. When I first started getting good at sales, when I first started and I was bad at sales, I would put meetings on people's calendar for an hour. And I would do that all the time. And people would cancel on me all the time. And I was like, man, I can't get a demo.
It's an eighth of their day.
Yeah, I was like, I just can't get a demo, man. And then eventually a guy shoved me in a corner. He's like, you put me on a calendar for an hour. Can you just give me like a quick idea of what I'm buying here? And I was selling leads. So then I was like, and I just kind of explained it in my own words without a script very quickly. And he goes, okay, that's pretty cool. And he goes, tell me a little bit about this. And I just kind of freeballed it. And then that ended up working. And I was like, if I could just do that every time, I could save myself time. And that was when it clicked really for the first time. Like, oh my God, I've been wasting my own time too.
Did you say you freeballed it?
Yeah, I guess that doesn't sound great.
There are three things in this world that make me laugh. One of them is when people fall and don't get hurt. Just like a fall out of a chair, fall. I think that's hilarious. When people fart in public, I think that's the funniest thing to me. I am essentially a middle school boy at heart. And the third is when people use phrases or words that are like slightly
inappropriate.
Not inappropriate, but just
not quite right.
Not quite there, but close. So when we were in Tahoe, there was this lady at the airport, and she was a crackhead. You could tell she had no teeth, and her behavior, like she was on drugs for sure, or had been, or something.
Yeah.
And my friend goes, I bet she goes, look at her arms. I bet she's got moose tracks. And I turned to him, I said, moose tracks? And he goes, yeah, like when they do drugs, I said, those are just tracks. I said, moose tracks is an ice cream flavor.
Yeah. A funny
it
one
cracks me up. I love that so much.
A funny one I saw the other day on the news, and this news station got in big trouble for it. They were like, viral video of man raw dogging a flight. Because it's like a 12-hour flight to Australia.
No phone, no
TV, he's just staring forward. And it was like a viral video, and the news station said raw dogging, and they got in so much trouble because it's like, you can't say that. That means this.
Right. That's like the phrase. Have you heard the phrase? And maybe, I don't know if you're in with the Gen Z lingo, but
I'm in with it.
I'm kind of there. Down bad. Have you?
Yeah. Down bad. Yeah.
What is your definition of down bad?
Down bad means that you're so unbelievably horny, or so unbelievably just needing of a girlfriend or boyfriend that you settle for whatever.
Okay. That's my understanding.
Or do stupid shit to get that. Yeah.
So I thought that that's my understanding of it, and I think that's the definition of it.
Yeah.
When I worked at ACC, every morning, for advisors, they would send you a email every morning.
Yeah.
And whoever ran that was either a millennial or Gen X. They were a little older, you could tell, but they would put a meme at the top, and they would say something, and then they would put the email below. That was kind of like their calling card, right? So there's a big meme up top. And they sent it out to all the advisors at ACC, and the meme I think it was the first day of December. It was like December 1st, and they said, down bad in December, and sent it to all the advisors. And I just thought that was so funny, because I'm like, you realize that means horny, right? I don't think you realize that means horny, but you just sent that at a public college to everybody.
So funny, man.
And I got that email and opened it and was like,
down bad.
Shit. I was like, this person does not know what that
Did
means.
not get it, dude.
I was like, that person could have benefited from a Urban Dictionary search.
Yeah. Man, is Urban Dictionary? I guess it is still
it's
a thing.
around, yeah.
I remember using that in high school.
I hate to admit that I still use it sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
When phrases come up.
You could probably ask ChatGPT now.
That's probably true.
I've been using that a lot.
Shit, same.
Dang, I've been using it a lot.
Yeah. As the months go on, I use it more and more and more.
I use it even for like insecurities that I have.
Yeah.
I'm like, is this normal that I did this?
Hey, did you hear that people are using it for therapy?
I bet you can, actually, because it does give you pretty good answers. Yeah. It's like, hey, maybe you should try to be more self-aware and try to focus. And I'm like, word.
I use it for recipes.
Oh, that's good.
I use it for shopping. I mean, anything I need it for. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. The thing about it that's scary is that if it's wrong, I don't think I would know.
Yeah.
I would just kind of be like,
take it at face value. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it as truth.
Yeah. There are some things that I have to be like, well, maybe I shouldn't ask ChatGPT that because it might just give me a strange answer. Yeah.
Some bullshit answer. Yeah.
Especially things that are political, because in politics, there's no right or wrong. It's always a mix.
Yeah.
And if you ask something like that to ChatGPT, the answer might be a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great. It's been a great resource. I mean, I had students. I don't ever promote cheating or anything like that.
Oh, but they're cheating.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they are anyway. But I have students come to me and say, I didn't do my assignment. I didn't do my speech. I didn't write it. I didn't do anything.
You couldn't even
fucking... You couldn't even chat. I'm like, AI could give you a topic. They could write out a central idea for you. They could give you main points. They could probably even give you links for all the sources. I mean,
this is a really good point. If You can tell a student really doesn't give a shit if they can't even do, like, there is a tool that you could legit just rip me off with, and you're not even doing that, man. Come on.
Yeah.
You don't even care enough to rip me off?
And my whole thing with them was like, there's still work you have to put into it. You still have to write an outline. You still have to make note cards. You still have to go and stand in front of the class and deliver a speech. Like there's still, it's not like you're just putting it in, printing something out, and turning it in, and that's great. Like there's a lot of human element involved still.
My buddy's a orchestra conductor.
Cool.
And he works with high school students. And he was talking about his experience with the kids and like what he does. And he says he roasts these kids in front of other students. Like, so if someone doesn't have a pencil, he's like, when you walk into an interview unprepared in your future, in your life, you don't have a pencil, you don't have paper, you don't have anything. How do you think that's going to reflect on you? Like, it's for your dream job.
Yep.
You can't even bring a pencil. Like, how does that make you look? And he'll just do this in front of the whole class and make the kid look really dumb. And he's like, if I do that, they're never not going to bring a pencil again.
Yeah, for sure. You almost have to shame them into. I've never done anything like that.
Well, at ACC, it's different.
In public setting, I've definitely done that via email. I've kind of said stuff to students like, I've had students say, like, well, I've been busy and I haven't been to your class in 3 weeks, but can you do this for me? Can you help me with this?
Crazy.
And I'll respond and say, do you have a job? And they say, yes. And I said, do you think that if you didn't show up to that job, didn't email, didn't call, didn't text, just didn't show up for 3 weeks, I'm like, do you think that they would, 1, pay you, or 2, let you keep that job? And they say, no. I'm like, then don't do that.
Don't do that, dude.
Don't just not show up. Not
somehow the teacher-student relationship, people think there's a difference there.
Yeah.
And it's like, not really, man. I mean, you kind of are paying to be here.
Yeah.
You paid for this class. Maybe your parents did, but someone paid.
And I mean, what is college if not practice for like low risk practice for what your
life
is going to, your career, your working life is going to be like. So
sometimes I look back at college and I think, could I have done what I have done with my life now, having not gone to college? Like, was it worth it?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, no, I don't think it was. But other times I'm like, well,
yeah.
Well.
Yeah, I think what I took from it was less about like specific to the class. I mean, there are some classes I still think about, but a lot of it was
just social things that you experience.
Yeah.
It's like, this was probably good. Like a lot of, like one thing I picked up was when I was in college, I cared a lot more than when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Because the teacher didn't care. And that to me was a different dynamic. When I was in high school, the teacher's like, you got to do that, you got to do that. Here's a packet, fill this out, bring it back tomorrow. And I was like, this sucks, like, what are we doing? But in college, it was like, there's a test at the end. Today I'm going to tell you about the railroad strike of 1917. And I'm just sitting there like, this is awesome. Like, because he actually cares. And he's like, but you're like, if you want to test, if you want to take notes, do whatever you want to do. But at the end, there's a test. And that to me resonated more. It was more like, this is on me. You know what I mean? I got to figure this out. I like that a lot more than like, do this, here's a packet, sit down, don't move, watch. I hated that. I hated that so much.
There's this thing in academia that you hear kind of tossed around a lot, but from professors or adjuncts or people who work in that capacity, but they say, I should not care. Like there's that level or that balance there. Like I should not care more about your grade and your work than you do as the student.
Yeah,
like
that's
you
good.
need to care more than I do.
You can care a lot.
Sure.
But their care needs to be so much higher. And that's exactly what the orchestra guy said. He's like, there are some students who they're like, how do I be better? How do I get better? How do I grow? And when you show that level of interest, I'll show that level of interest.
Absolutely.
It's like, I will fucking meet you on that mountain.
Yeah.
You just have to get there first.
But you don't show up to my class for weeks. You don't do any of the work. And then the last week you come to me on hands and knees asking what I can do for you. That drove me crazy.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, not the reason I left. There's a lot of reasons why I stopped, but that was one of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of grating. And every semester, that number of students that were like that seemed to be bigger and bigger.
Getting bigger and bigger.
I will say, I want to give a little shout out to Del Valley. I taught in that at that high school a couple semesters.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, Del Valley High School, off just past the airport. Greatest crop of students I've ever had.
Yeah.
Amazing. 100% across the board. Hard workers, did everything I asked of them, showed up every single day. I've taught at high schools. I've taught at, other ACC campuses for the last 3 years. Those Del Valley kids are on it. Like this last semester, I had 26 students. I had 7 B's and 19 A's.
That's amazing.
And that's it. No C's, no D's, no fails.
You were teaching public speaking?
And every other class I've ever taught, you always have a couple of F's.
F's.
A handful of D's and C's.
That is interesting.
And then a kind of an even mix of A's and B's.
Especially in college situations.
Yeah. And I don't grade. I'm not lenient. I'm tough on these kids. And they just, all 26 of them showed up on time, prepared to do everything.
I thought it would be cool to be a teacher for a bit, like a high school teacher. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think I would be pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Because I would want to teach history. That's cool. I would love to be a history teacher. I think it's so cool.
You're just storytelling.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's just story. And I remember going to history courses and just being like, oh my God, this is incredible. What an incredible story. And this guy is just pouring his heart out in front of us, on this lecture, telling this amazing story. And then he's like, anyway, we're going to finish up second piece of this on World War II, come back. And there are kids leaving thank God that's over. And I'm like, thank God that's over.
Keep it going.
That shit was incredible.
You know who you would love? Her name's Sarah. She's a professor at the Naval Academy.
I listen to a lot of Roy Casagrande. Have you ever heard of him? Mm-mm. He's an ACC professor. Pretty famous, actually. He has a huge history channel.
Say the name again?
Roy Casagrande.
Okay.
Casagrande, maybe?
To look that up.
Very famous. He taught at ACC Pinnacle for a while. He was actually my teacher there for a bit. I went to ACC for a year.
Sweet.
Amazing. He was one of the teachers where I was like, I can't even believe that this is what learning can be. I was in high school, sucks.
You could easily have sat there for hours.
Oh, I was like, this, keep going, man. Fuck the clock, fuck the bell. This is amazing what's going on. But that one, and then I also listen to a lot of podcasts like The Rest is History. It's a very history-esque podcast. They did one about the Northern War between Finland, Sweden, and Russia. Oh my God, I was eating that up. I would I would park because I drive and listen to it, and I'll park in my car and I'm just sitting there listening for another 30 minutes. This is amazing what's happening, and I would love to do that.
I think it takes a very special person to teach history. I mean, you've got to have that storytelling, that charisma, that excitement.
You got to have excitement for it.
Excitement about it.
You got to go up there and be like, I'm going to tell you guys something crazy.
You have to find it interesting and relay that to...
And it works with stand-up, too. I think it is like stand-up. Because stand-up, you have to find it funny. If you don't think it's funny, it's not going to be funny. But if you go up there and you're like, this is hilarious. You know what I mean? I think it's the same kind of energy. That's why people are like, you don't want to do it too much with the same jokes because then it kind of kills the oomph. You still want to go up there and have that feeling of I'm excited to tell these people this because it's kind of an interesting thought,
Yeah.
But
that's an interesting comparison. Yeah, if you think about it, teaching is...
You got to have some passion.
There's got to be passion behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well... My teaching's not done. I think I'm still going to teach in some capacity, just not in that context.
You should. It's also good for real estate.
Yes,
Those kids all buying houses one day.
Yeah, my brokerage asked me next month to do an hour-long training, public speaking training.
Oh wow!
So I'm gonna start doing that next month.
Oh, that's good.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I still get to. Because I love teaching. I love that. It's just that in that capacity. At ACC in that college, it just wasn't working for me. So I think in this setting, teaching professionals, like-minded professionals, I think will be a little bit.
You get a lot more attention. They want to be there.
Yeah.
Which
Which is mind blowing because these students are paying.
Well, you'd be surprised.
I still don't want to be there.
I remember there were some classes, like I remember taking an accounting class. My parents were like, you got to be going to an accounting class. And I took that. It was the only course I dropped. And I remember the teacher was very attractive. And I was like, wow, this lady is hot. That's why I gave it like a couple tries.
Sure, yeah, because you had something to look at.
But then like after a while, I was like, I can't do this.
Maybe that's why students never drop my class.
Oh.
Because they're hot for teacher.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. They were like, oh, we go back in there.
Yeah, I got my braces off and it was game over.
Yeah. That is the thing. That is the thing. I was really, dude, that's why when you said the Russian girl, man, my study in college for a while was Russian Euro studies. So I am fascinated by anyone like Eastern European. I think it's just such an interesting place. And the accounting teacher was Ukrainian.
Oh, yeah.
And so I talked to her a bunch after class, and I was like, oh, my God, you're from Ukraine, yada, yada. It's so cool. But after a while, I was like, I can't lie to myself. Accounting's not for me.
I'd like to insert a note. I thought about this earlier when I was talking about his friend from Russia. She has other qualities. She's also a very funny person, a very kind human being.
Nice.
I just kind of talked about her in like a...
Russian and beautiful.
Russian and beautiful. Like that's almost like that's all that was about. She's great.
Well, Russian and beautiful is the first thing that you'll notice.
Yeah. There's more to her, but that's just
everybody
in the moment in that what I was talking about.
If she's listening,
was important.
You're more than just beautiful in Russian.
You're more than just beautiful in Russian, Oksana. You're a good friend.
And if you ever don't like your husband,
well, they're not married. They're dating.
Not. Oh.
So there's still a chance.
Just because there's a goalie doesn't mean
that's right.
You can't score.
That's right.
I'm kidding. That's crazy.
Sometimes I'll make comments about like to other people. I'll say, "Oh my gosh, that guy's hot," or "Look at that guy's this," and they'll say, "Aren't you married?" And I say, "I'm married. I'm not dead."
Yeah. That's like good.
I still look and
it's true. People
have
still
feelings
like,
and
okay,
yeah.
It's totally normal. You're not going to act on it. You just go,
right.
"Okay, look at that."
Yeah,
it's like window shopping.
I'm not my dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not going to go have a secret family for.
You're like, I'm not dead. I'm not my dad. Is what I'm not.
Is what I'm really not. I'm not dad or my dad. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that's that.
That is that. That might be a good place to end it. You want to call it?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, let's call it.
All righty.
Had fun.
Me too.
Bye.
Adios.